My name's John Ford. I'm the Director of Planning and Building for the County of Humboldt. Joining me tonight from the Planning and Building Department is Cliff Johnson, who's standing in the center. He's the Manager of Current Planning, and Steve Lazar. He's the Senior Planner who is actually assigned to process this application. We also have Stephen Medulo Williams, who is with Amazon, and their consultant, Sonia Kentz, with us, and they will present information tonight. We're really here tonight to accomplish two really important things. First, we want to provide information. First, on the county's process, county's regulatory scheme, and where you can get involved in that. And so we will explain that tonight. And then second, Amazon is going to try to answer some of the questions that have been raised in a lot of the comment letters that we have seen. We also want to provide you with an opportunity to ask questions and provide comments. We have a great crowd tonight, and really appreciate that you're all here. One of the things that we want to do, though, is give everybody who wants to ask questions or to share their ideas and their thoughts that opportunity. So we're going to ask you, when you do get up to the mic to speak, and we're going to do it one at a time so that people who are also live streaming on Zoom can hear, that you try to be brief. Because if everybody that's in this room wants to spend 1 minute talking, and I know that there's more than 100 people here because there's 100 chairs, then that's going to be 2 hours worth of comments. And we're going to close it down at 8 o'clock. So I really just ask you to show respect for everybody, show respect to each other, and hopefully we can come away from this meeting tonight feeling like good information has been shared. So just a couple of housekeeping items. The group that will be acting on this, which is the Planning Commission, is not here tonight. There may be one or more members here tonight, but so there's no decision on the part of the county in terms of what happens tonight. We're really here to hear you. We're here to understand, and I think Amazon has the same objective. So the last thing I want to say is that, you know, this is intended to be a community meeting, a civil meeting. So laughing or giving derision at anybody who's speaking up here, you know, really shows disrespect. So what I'm going to ask you is, can we have a respectful meeting? Is that something that we're in agreement to do? Thank you very much. So I know that this is an emotional topic. I know that. But to the extent that we can be civil, respect each other, share ideas, share concerns, we can all be heard, and we will have a much better process. I'll take a couple of questions right now. Would you please go to the mic so everybody can hear you? And this is just about how the meeting's structured tonight, right?
Thank you. Hi, thank you for holding this meeting. I think you can see it's super important to our residents. My question is, I expected, and I imagine you expected, this would be a pretty full house. And I don't understand why we've put an 8 o'clock time limit on closing discussions. It's our opportunity to talk to you. So thank you.
Thank you. I will take that into consideration. I hope to get out of here before 1 o'clock in the morning, though. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, hi. My name is Gene Wells. And I want to ask, I hope it's the appropriate time to ask this question, what is a tax incentive that the county has offered Amazon, and or what is the tax incentive that Amazon has requested?
If we could hold those questions till afterwards, we're happy to answer all those kinds of questions.
Okay.
But really the questions now are just for clarification on tonight's process.
Okay.
And There is no tax incentive. There has been no tax incentive requested. Okay?
But what is the county offering Amazon?
We're not offering Amazon anything.
Will there be a future tax incentive offered?
Not from the county.
Is that for sure? I can take your word on that, John?
So you want to speak to that?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Stephen Meduli-Williams, Senior Economic Development Manager for Amazon. We are not seeking incentives. There was never a thought of our mind to seek an incentive for this project, and we will not be seeking any incentives for this project in the future.
So,
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to stop right now. I'm not going to take any more questions because I do want to get through the presentation that we have. Nope, please. I made a mistake and I took one question.
Is there any valid reason that the members of the Planning Commission are not here today? Very quick question. Very straightforward.
So part of the concern with having planning commissioners present is that if there's too many of them, it could be viewed as a quorum. And that becomes a meeting. So there may be, like I've seen at least one planning commissioner here. So they're not restricted from being here, they're not prohibited from being here, but it becomes, I can't speak for the planning commission. So now, what's that?
The live stream is black right now, according to people on it. The Zoom doesn't seem to be working. Right. There's no video.
My audio is on. So this is our live feed. I don't understand why it's not going out.
There's no audio is back on, she says. Oh, it's back on.
But there's no video. Sorry for the technical difficulties. One of the things I'm going to apologize to everybody for is that we do not really have the technology to be able to do this well. And so we're attempting to do something that is difficult. So how did that change it?
Yes, it's on.
Okay. So now Steve Lazar is going to present the county's process and regulatory system that affects Amazon.
Thanks. I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint. We'll test to see if the video works. Okay, I'll ask online, is the slideshow visible? Okay, and I'm going to turn on my audio. Okay. So my name is Steve Lazar. Some of you I've communicated with over email so far, and thank you for the turnout today. I'm going to give an overview of, as Director Ford mentioned, the process. We want to turn up the PA. Is this a little better? Okay. Yeah, that's the mic right here. Okay. Thanks for bearing with us. So I'm going to talk about the process. I'm going to talk about opportunities for public involvement, and then we're going to pass it off to the Amazon folks to talk about their project a little more. But let's start with, first and foremost, the location If we can get this slide to advance. There we go. Oops. It's just lagging. Yes. Well, I think it is, actually. Yeah, that's as big as it's going to get. This is what they refer to as a last mile delivery station. That's a misnomer in the sense that packages leaving this facility will be going more than a mile to their destinations. But the idea is it's the last link in the chain between Amazon, the company, and the final user, the purchaser, who gets the delivery. So they're receiving deliveries from other nearby facilities that do fulfillment and sortation. Those are different facilities. This facility will be unloading vehicles that come to the facility from other places and then putting them on trucks for the last mile, the delivery. So it involves, you can see some of the parcels here. There's 3 to the north, 3 to the south. These are 6 parcels within the airport business park. They're going to merge 3 on the north end to accommodate the proposed development, and they're going to merge some on the south end. You can see the footprint of the warehouses on the north side of the parcels on the north, and there's some details on the slide here. I'm not going to run through everything, but it's going to look like a warehouse, and it's a very large one. And then water and sewer are available through the McKinleyville Community Services District. And there will be 2 discrete parking lots, one near the warehouse, one a little bit further away. The one near the warehouse is for employee parking, and the one to the south will be for the fleet vehicles that are used for delivery. And then these are just some details of the day-to-day. It would be a 24-hour facility, but there would be employee traffic during certain windows. They're estimating 115 employees and up to 172 during peak periods. And then here's some of those daily vehicle trips. So 115 to 172 will be employee-based trips. Box trucks, roughly 4 trips. Vans, 34 to 67 trips. Flex drivers, that's sort of the DoorDash model where people work as subcontractors for Amazon and do deliveries locally. And then line haul trucks, which will be bringing stuff from the sortation and fulfillment centers, will be 6 to 9 trips. And remember that 9 would be during, say, Christmas, and 6 would be more of the day-to-day. This is the location. You can see it's just south of the airport, the north end of McKinleyville. Looking a little closer, we see this is an overlay of their site plans on Google Earth. You can see the warehouse on the north side, the parking lots to the south, and flanked by the federal courthouse that was recently built. And then looking a little closer, this is a close-up of the site plan. You can see some of the landscaping features and parking, and there's circulation. There's a sound wall along the western side that would be constructed, and that's all I'm going to cover there. And then here's the southern parking lot. This would be where the fleet vehicles are parked. So from a zoning perspective, it's important to kind of talk about kind of how that plays into this proposal. You can see here a zoning map for this area. Areas in gray are zoned a business park. Areas in yellow, residential. So this area is zoned for light industrial uses and has been for close to 30 years. When we look at the general plan, it's also business park land use, so it's set up for the type of development that's proposed. Looking at the zoning regulations themselves, we see warehousing, storage, and distribution is a principally permitted use. That means it's ministerial in the sense of it's an allowed use in this by right in the zone. Where we get into a permit requirement is the nature of it being located in the coastal zone. And the fact that the property is located in the coastal zone, if you just let me get to the next slide here, is why we're processing a permit. So here you can see just I'm pointing out this is the zoning regulations from online. You can see the principally permitted uses and the listing for warehousing, storage, and distribution. So this blue line you see on the slide is the coastal zone boundary, and you see the development, the majority of it lies to the west of that boundary. And that's why we're processing a coastal development permit. And it's within what we would refer to as the local jurisdiction. It's a use allowed by right. So it's a coastal permit that's that doesn't require, that's not appealable to the Coastal Commission. So that means that the final decision at the local level on the coastal permit doesn't have any oversight other than the Board of Supervisors. Yeah, that's kind of what it means is in the coastal zone, some actions by local agencies, cities and counties can be appealed to the Coastal Commission and they can override the decision of the city or county. In this case, because of the nature of the project and where it's located, that isn't possible. Because, no.
If I could, it can be appealed to the Coastal Commission, but the Coastal Commission cannot appeal it directly themselves. But then what they would do is that they would weigh to see if there's any substantive issue, those are their terms, whether or not there's a reason for an appeal. If there's not, they would summarily reject the appeal. In this particular case, I think that one of the things that the process will bear out is, or the big question is, what are the coastal resource issues associated with the permit? So those would be the things that the Coastal Commission would be concerned about, is the coastal resource issues. Does that help?
Is traffic a coastal resource issue?
Typically not. I think all we're trying to do is explain the process. So the way that things are set up is that the Coastal Act defers to the local jurisdiction's ability to adopt a local coastal plan. Then the local coastal plan is implemented by that local jurisdiction, in this case the County of Humboldt. As long as the county's acting within that, there's the county's well within its jurisdiction. There are some areas, and this is what gets confusing, that are either retained jurisdiction by the Coastal Commission, or they're specifically identified as appeal areas. So retained jurisdiction, county has no coastal development permit jurisdiction in those areas. In the appeal jurisdiction, the Coastal Commission has the right to appeal things themselves to themselves. This is not one of those areas. This is an area where the county is given discretion to act on permits that are of local significance. Does that make sense? Okay, thanks.
It says right under here, under the condition that acidification and pollution. It says right.
Like I said, it could be appealed to the Coastal Commission. What the Coastal Commission would need to then determine is that the county did not take an appropriate action on an important coastal resource. Okay? We have seen the Coastal Commission take appeals and take them up and ask the commission, do you think this has significant resource issues? And they have said no. So I just want to, we're trying to be transparent and honest here, okay? It's like and so that would be a risk. That's all we're trying to say. It's there for you, but it'd be a risk. I really wanted to finish the presentations before we start taking questions, but if it's on this topic, we'll go ahead. Well, you know what? The folks at home can't hear, so this is not fair to have a discussion that they can't hear.
Thanks.
Because they're not at the mic.
Thank you. I'm going to finish it up pretty quickly, so we're going to keep it moving. So we kind of just went over this slide here. The actions wouldn't ordinarily be appealable, but they could be, but it would have to be a substantial coastal issue. So what we're doing in reviewing this project and approving or denying the coastal permit, that the consideration is, does it comply with our local zoning regulations? Does it comply with a locally adopted certified coastal plan? And one of those things is the protection of coastal resources. And it has to be, those findings have to be made to approve the coastal permit. So that is the work that we will do before the Planning Commission takes up this matter. And then I want to be clear about, there's a CEQA component. So we are going to be, we're working on preparation of an environmental impact report. And we're doing that pursuant to CEQA, separately from the coastal permit, but as part of the review and approval of the coastal permit, the CEQA will be running in parallel. So I'm not going to give a talk on CEQA, but it's important to recognize that there were prior efforts to analyze potential environmental concerns as part of earlier actions, first of which being the business park that this lies within. That business park was reviewed and given entitlements back in the late 90s. Additionally, when the McKinleyville Community Plan was adopted and an EIR was prepared to consider those impacts at that time, then another EIR was developed when the McKinleyville Community Plan was being developed, and that was adopted and certified in 2002. The EIR for the general plan is the last one, and that was done in 2017, and that considered impacts throughout the county. So it's not that we haven't done CEQA yet, but we're doing a focused effort to look at specific issues: transportation, greenhouse gas emissions, geology, and biological resources. Those are what we anticipate the EIR will mostly focus on. And an EIR, I apologize, is an environmental impact report, and it is a document for disclosing the potential impacts of projects under state law in California. And impacts could be impacts in a variety of different categories. Some of them are the 4 I just mentioned, but there are other categories. So just forecasting that this is forthcoming. And in that spirit, I want to talk about some of the key opportunities for public input. Tonight is one of those, but it won't be the only one. So there will also be the release of what's called a notice of preparation in mid-May, we're expecting sometime around that time in the coming weeks. And when that happens, that will start a 45-day comment period on the actions of preparing the EIR. We'll be saying, this is the document that we want to develop, and do you have any feedback on what that document should cover? So there'll be an opportunity there. It will be announced just like this meeting online, on the news flash, and also via the email distribution list, which I would encourage you to become a part of tonight.
So, I'm sorry. The question was, where will people be able to find out about this? We circulated a sign-up sheet today and asked for people to give their names and contact information. So please give us that, or email Steve Lazar, so that we can have your contact information, and so we can send you the notices as soon as they're available.
But that doesn't include the rest of the public. That only includes those of us.
We will also be doing press releases and notifications to the people within proximity to the project, the property owners and tenants, residents within a radius of the project, probably 1,000 feet. We try to go out of our way to make sure that everybody's notified, that is interested, okay? Obviously, your presence here indicates you're interested. So you're going to be a primary audience for us to make sure that we're notifying you when things are going on.
So you can see here, my email address is up there. I'm going to go back for just a moment. I'll end with this slide. This is my final slide, but I want to go back to the timeline that we had up. And everyone, I encourage you to email me. I will maintain. I have 140 people on the distribution list so far. I'm happy to add more, but you just need to get in touch with me. But certainly sign the sheet as well. That's fine. So just talking about milestones. So tonight, the meeting, sometime in the coming weeks, we'll be releasing what's called the notice of preparation. That will start a comment period on that action. And then we expect that the bulk of the document will be released possibly in September, by the end of September. And when that happens, that's going to be a lot to chew on. It will be covering a lot of those categories I mentioned: transportation, greenhouse gas emissions, et cetera. So when that is released, there'll be an additional opportunity to look and see what our analysis revealed in terms of looking at the project and its potential impacts and ways of mitigating those impacts if necessary. And then the point of CEQA is to disclose that for the public to see for themselves and decide for themselves. But we will be laying our cards on the table when we do that by saying, here's the analysis, here's what we revealed, and here's our proposal. So be aware that's another milestone. And then the last is, after the comments received during that draft EIR comment period, we have to respond to every single one of them. So that will take time. And then when we finally have done that and considered any final tweaks, we will be releasing the final EIR. And the final EIR is when we are moving on to the Planning Commission at that point for the decision on the coastal permit. And we will always send notice, likely 2 to 4 weeks ahead of any hearing that occurs. So there'll be another opportunity to know that you have, even in outside of the CEQA context, just comments about the project, regardless of its CEQA ramifications. You can be making those comments in advance of the Planning Commission meeting via writing, letters, emails, et cetera. And then at the meeting itself, whenever that occurs, we're expecting sometime in February, you'll have opportunity for oral testimony. So there'll be multiple opportunities, but it's wise to focus on the key points along the way. And what we were doing tonight is, in the context of CEQA, referred to as scoping. And it's always good to do it as early as possible. So we're off to a good start, frankly. We will certainly be taking that into consideration as we move forward. So I'm going to end there. My bad. I'm not going to end there. I'll keep it up until we have the next presentation going. Just a moment. Okay, we'll get it.
We will get to questions after the presentations. We're going to let Amazon present right now, and then we'll answer questions.
Okay.
If there's sign-up sheet, to speak tonight? No, we're just going to ask you to line up at the podium. Yes, this will be available online, and we will also include the PowerPoints to be looked at online as well.
Promise, when we finish the next presentation, I'll put it back up, and it'll be up for a long time. I promise.
Ready? Good evening, everyone. Again, I'm Stephen Meduli-Williams, a Senior Economic Development Manager for Amazon. I cover northern central California for Amazon, as well as Hawaii. Part of my role is to attend public meetings, public hearings like this, to really talk a little bit about Amazon, the facility that we intend to build, and how we can be a good partner, particularly in this case, with the county and the city of McKinleyville. Humboldt County and the city of McKinleyville. My presentation is roughly about 15 minutes. What I'll do is focus on what it is that we're actually building. I'll talk a little bit about our network, talk probably quite a bit about what it's like to work for Amazon, also speak about our operations, and then talk about the timeline that Steve kind of pointed out as well. This is still early in the process. I think first and foremost, we're here because of our customers. We're not here because we're chasing incentives or anything like that. We're here because of customer demand. But with that said, part of our objective is to figure out how do we become a good neighbor and good partner. And that's why we're here today, to not only kind of talk a little bit about the project in Amazon, but also hear, more importantly, hear about your thoughts, your concerns, and begin to start the dialogue about how we can address those concerns. So I'll go ahead and get started. So what we intend to build is what's called the last mile delivery station. And as Steve, as it was pointed out before.
Could you speak up, sir? Some of us are hard of hearing.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. All right. Great. So our intent is to build what's called the last mile delivery station. It's called last mile because it's the term in logistics, we use it for a last mile to our customer. In terms of Amazon's network, particularly in California, there are really three types of facilities that make up that network. The first being what's called the fulfillment center. When you hear about Amazon and warehouses, all those things, that's basically what people talk about. They're generally very large, generally in more rural areas. On average, they're about 3 million square feet. If you order something from Amazon online, it's going to get pulled from that large, gigantic warehouse, that fulfillment center, and then it's going to get shipped to you. The way that works is that we have really 3 facilities that kind of make up the backbone of our network. Even though there are multiple different types of Amazon facilities, these are probably the 3 most important. The first being the fulfillment center, the second being, and that kind of houses all the items that you're going to purchase from Amazon. Any fulfillment center could have millions and millions of items stored in any one given time.
So just grab that right there and move it up to the top. There you go.
Is that better?
Oh, yeah, the panel. You move that out of the way.
Oh, there's a little more.
Yeah, it's not.
I don't see it.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, it's on that one, yeah. So I'm moving it on my slide, but. Okay. So the second important facility in that network is what's called the sortation center. That's where we actually figure out how we're going to ship it. Right now, and we kind of sort it by region, and we typically ship packages 3 ways. The first is that we use the Postal Service. The second is that we use UPS, and then the third way would be to deliver it ourselves. And that's what our intent to do here is to deliver packages ourselves with our own last mile delivery stations. So the third facility in that network, which is the topic of today's discussion, is the last mile delivery facility. The sortation center, that's kind of where we figure out how we're going to ship it. They're generally larger as well. They're generally on average about 1 million square feet in size. The nearest fulfillment center where packages are going to come from, you're going to order them online, they're going to get pulled from Sacramento, one of our fulfillment centers there. Our nearest sortation center is in Vacaville. And so it's going to go to Vacaville, it's going to get sorted by the region here, and then it's going to get shipped overnight via line haul truck to a delivery station here in town. Delivery stations on average are about 150,000 to 200,000 square feet. What we're building here is significantly smaller. On average, it's only about 40,000 square feet. So we're not going to build a big, gigantic facility here in McKinleyville. It's going to be a 40,000 square foot last mile delivery station, primarily focused on delivering the packages to customers in this area. So again, I talked about this location is in McKinleyville. It'll be a last mile delivery station. On average, is about 40,000 square feet. So in terms of the actual delivery, what happens typically in a delivery station? They generally open 24 hours a day. Even though they're open 24 hours a day, they don't have 24 hours of activity. There'll be associates that come in on a couple of different shifts. And so the first kind of key thing to think about is line haul trucks. So this site is probably going to have between 6 to 9, let's say what we call steady state, and that's probably about 90% of the year. It's going to have 6 line haul trucks that are going to come overnight. Late at night, they'll probably come from Sacramento, probably leaving at about maybe 7 p.m. at night, and then they're going to come overnight here, drop off the packages, probably about 5 a.m., 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. They're going to get kind of carted off the line haul truck, put in the facility for sortation by zip code, and then they're going to get ready for loading on the delivery vans. And that's kind of the operation. The packages, you order a package, to be delivered in 48 hours. It's going to get delivered overnight. It's going to get to the facility early in the morning where there'll be a small crew of associates who will be working to sort those packages and get them ready to be added to the delivery vans in the morning. And then they'll go out for delivery. And that's kind of the cycle. They come in overnight. They get unloaded. They get then reload, sorted, and loaded on vans, and then they go out. Let's see. So in terms of employment and the type of vehicles and the type of people that are going to work at a site like this. So the head count for this site is generally going to be about 227 people. of which about 115 are going to be full-time employees. Some of those are going to be Amazon associates, and some of them are going to work with what we call our delivery service partners. These are independent companies that own the vans that hire drivers to drive those vans. So there'll be roughly about 43 van drivers at this site. Another, again, 100, another 80 Amazon employees. And then we'll have about 112 what we call flex drivers. These are very similar to Uber Eats, or they will come to the site probably around noon. They'll load their cars with packages and they'll deliver those. And these are all part-time employees, people who are looking for flexible shifts, who want to deliver a route for Amazon, make some money, but also have their own individual flexibility. Sure.
So I know that you all have questions. One of the things that I'm going to ask you to do from now on is just hold your questions until we're done. And then when it's your turn to ask a question, please go to the mic so that everybody can hear, including the probably about 50 people that are listening to this right now. So thank you.
So in terms of, so 227 jobs created. This project will probably result in a $30 million capital investment directly into McKinleyville. And we think that, this site will also, the employment will generate about $8 million a year in annual payroll taxes. In terms of the actual workforce and jobs, the pay will probably range between $20 to $23 per hour in terms of starting wages. And on average, the average wage in Amazon at one of our facilities now is roughly about $22 an hour. In terms of benefits, one thing I'll add is that everyone at Amazon receives the exact same benefits package, no matter where you are in terms of your Amazon home. So that's a full benefits package with health, dental, vision from day one, first day you start. We have a fantastic career growth program called Career Choice, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then we have, again, depending on your lifestyle and how you want to work, we have flexible packages. And the one thing I love about Amazon is that it's willing to take employees where they are in life. So if you have a situation where you need to be at home and part-time and work part-time, we definitely understand that and support that. But if you're looking for career growth, career opportunities, there are things that we will do, which I'll speak about in a minute, to support that as well. As I said before, the total workforce will be 227 people, 34 Amazon delivery drivers, another 81 Amazon employees, and then 112 flex drivers. Again, I talked about healthcare benefits in terms of dental, prescription coverage, health, medical, dental, virtual healthcare as well. Sure.
So,
Please hold your comments and your questions until after the presentation.
so could I just remind us that when we started, could I have the floor, please? Okay, then we're done. So what we've done tonight has come out for your benefit. And I know some of you know everything. Would you... I get letters with all kinds of expletives, and I've been flipped off before, and I expected more of McKinleyville, frankly. I don't know, Twyla.
Just take questions.
Twyla, your mic's not on. There's a switch on the side.
Twyla, stay there.
I just want to remind everyone here that you are on Wiyot land, and it may have been taken from them, but it is still their land. I am not Wiyot, I am Yurok, but as a Native person, we do not treat people who come to our land to give their opinions, to give information. We greet them and we respect them. If we have questions, we ask questions. The more education we get on any topic, the better decision can be made. So I would appreciate it. I don't know how many times John Ford has to say, please hold your questions. I'm here to get information. I cannot get information if the speakers keep getting interrupted. I know people are passionate, either for or against, but please be respectful, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Twyla. So, could we proceed with the presentation? So I'm going to give the mic back to Stephen and allow him to complete the presentation. Then we will absolutely take your questions. We see you lining up in the middle. Thank you for doing it in an orderly way.
All right, thanks everyone. I'm going to try to get through this presentation as quickly as possible because I know you all have a lot of important questions, so we can begin to deal with some of the questions that you have. So again, I spoke quickly about healthcare benefits that we provide, financial security in terms of 401k plan and ability for stock options, paid company life insurance. These are all benefits that Amazon provides to every employee, and it's really about quality of life for people who work for Amazon. And these are things that we do as a company to support our associates. Family time, family and time off, particularly for paternal leave and vacation, things like that. Again, I said before, coverage starts from day one. So I'll kind of skip this slide. Same thing with financial security. It talked about 401k and the match that goes with that. One question that I know that we've gotten a lot of comments about was kind of safety and operations. So just want to kind of highlight the fact that since 2019, Amazon has spent roughly $2.5 billion on safety for its employees. And I know some people may think that's funny, but we take that very seriously and are very intentional about that. Not only have we spent a significant amount of resources as part of our goals to really be an industry leader when it comes to safety of employees. Particularly since 2019, we've reduced the number of incidents by 43%. We've got over 11,000 safety professionals that work for Amazon that support our associates. We've got a number of different initiatives that support safety in our work environment. That includes our Working Well program, the integration of robotics, not to replace employees, but to actually make their life safer and create a better integration between technology and worker safety. A significant amount of safety training for our drivers. We have about 180,000 drivers in the U.S. who go through a significant amount of driver safety. They can't even get in a van until they've had hours and hours of safety courses for driving. We've got real-time monitoring, and then more importantly, we have on-site medical in terms of an on-site medical team at each one of our facilities. In terms of career development, because I know one of the things that people talk about is that it's a warehouse job, but just to kind of give you an idea about how committed we are to upskilling our associates. You come in as an entry-level position, there's an opportunity just within Amazon to move up to a site lead, to a supervisor, area manager, and ultimately to management. We've seen people progress through Amazon. We are very intentional about promoting within Amazon. And the thing that I've always been really excited about is that we put a lot of effort and resources into upskilling employees. And what I mean by that is a lot of actual real training for employees, not just to work within a warehouse. For instance, if you start out working at this facility, there's nothing to stop you from going to work for AWS, for Whole Foods, for another business within Amazon. And that's something not only do we fully support, but that's something that we will actually pay for, money that does not have to come out of the pocket of our employees. Examples of that, we have what's called an Amazon Technical Academy. So if you want to get if you want to take a training course or a certificate to learn how to use Java or Python or some other technology, we'll support that and we'll actually pay for that. We'll pay for you to take that course. We'll pay for you to get that certificate. We've got about 8 other different programs that we offer that are technology-based that assist our employees from moving in one spot in the Amazon family to somewhere else if they so desire. The program that I'll kind of spend a little bit a few moments talking about right now is called Career Choice. Relatively new program that's about 4 years old. It's a program where we've partnered with 300 colleges and universities throughout the U.S. where we provide prepaid tuition to Amazon associates, meaning that you can go sign up for a course if you want to become a nurse. You can go sign up at a community college or a 4-year university, take courses every year toward that nursing degree if you want to do that. We pay for that cost up front. Once you sign up, say, hey, you want to sign up for Career Choice, you go on the website, you pick a degree, you pick a university, you get signed up, you immediately get enrolled, you get accepted, you get enrolled, and we'll pay for that. The cap on that is roughly about $5,250 per year, but you can take those courses in perpetuity till you get either your associate's degree or your bachelor's degree. And the focus is really on not just logistics. You can, again, go into healthcare, you can go into business, you can go into skilled trades, you can go into technology. So that's part of the commitment that we make to our associates so that they can grow however they feel they need to grow. And the great thing about this Career Choice program is we pay for that up front. You don't see any money come out of the pocket of our associates. And as a matter of fact, there's typically with tuition reimbursement programs, you have to take a class, you have to pay for the class, you have to get a certain grade, and then you have to get reimbursed. We've done away with all that. We pay the costs up front, so it doesn't have to come out of your wages if you want to grow and develop as a person, as an individual. And that's just, again, part of the commitment that we make to our associates. Again, we don't have a partnership yet with the College of Redwoods, Humboldt Polytechnic University, but that's something we'll explore. But as I said, we've already got 300 universities and community colleges across the U.S. that are part of the Career Choice program. In terms of supporting small businesses, because I know we got a lot of questions about that. So right now, 60% of everything you buy from Amazon is made by a small business. And a lot of people don't know that, but a lot of things that you will buy on Amazon, you go searching for a pair of roller skates, good chance, 60% chance that that's going to come from a local small business. And so that's the one thing that people don't know about purchasing something from Amazon that is actually true in fact. The other thing I want to add is that we provide a lot of resources to supporting and helping small businesses grow. We have a small business training academy. We have what's called Fulfillment by Amazon. So if I make specialty socks and I've got orders, I want to sell those socks online, I don't have to actually ship them myself. Amazon will ship those items for me. We have a lending program for small businesses. And then lastly, we do a lot of support to local chambers across the U.S. in terms of supporting their efforts to help small businesses grow. So supporting small businesses, not only from a revenue growth standpoint, but growing from a mom and pop shop to a medium-sized business is part of our DNA. So without small businesses, we would not exist. So I just wanted to make sure I highlight that for the group. Real quick in terms of operations. So the way the delivery operations typically work, as I said before, they're going to be about 34 vans. They generally go out. As I said before, the vans come. The vans get loaded roughly about 9 o'clock during the day. That's when the packages get sorted. They get loaded on the vans, but they go out at about 9:50 a.m. And the reason why we designed our operating cycle so that vans go out at 9:50 a.m. is that we've done that because we've learned. We learned that it's important to work in connection with our local traffic pattern. So we don't go out at 8 o'clock in the morning because you're usually going to work at that time, you're taking your kid to school in the morning, or you're going to the grocery store. So we don't want to be a part of that early commute. So our vans our vans go out at 9:50 a.m. once all the typical early morning normal neighborhood peak is happening, and they generally don't come back. They go out on their routes once a day. They don't go and come back. Once they go out at 9:50 a.m., they come back at about 8 p.m. once they're done with their routes. And what happens at 8 p.m., you're generally at home making dinner with your family, and that's when our van drivers come back from their particular routes. In this case, we probably have, again, about 34 vans that'll go out, and once they go out, that's it. They come back later in the day. So it's all been designed so that we fit within the traffic patterns of the communities that we operate in. So that's been done intentionally and by design. Just real quickly, 34 vans. I said before, the drivers start to arrive at about 8:30 in the morning. Again, we start the queuing process so that they can get loaded and they can go out. And then again, the departures start at about 9:50 a.m. In this case, they'll be done at about 10:30. So 10 vans will go out every 30 minutes, and then they're done for the day in terms of actually going out to their respective sites. As I spoke about the line hauls, they will come in from Sacramento. The first one will probably get here at about 9:30 p.m. They'll leave at the last one will leave at about 5:30 a.m. in the morning. Again, during about 90% of the year, there'll only be 6 line hauls that will come here on a daily basis. During our peak season, which is November, really basically Black Friday throughout December, there'll be up to 9 line haul trucks coming on a daily basis, and that's pretty much it. In terms of the flex or the private vehicles, again, those vehicles will come in at roughly at about 10:30 a.m. They'll get loaded up. They'll go out probably at about 11 or noon. They'll go out until about 4 p.m. and then they'll be done for the day. Again, same thing, one route. They go out, they don't come back. Again, just a summary of the vehicle trips, 6 to 9 line haul trucks, up to about 34 vans, and then up to about 112 flex vehicles a day. In terms of this project life cycle, so as I said earlier, we're at the very beginning, what we call phase 1, which is the community engagement phase. Phase 2, which is concurrent now, which is the planning phase and approvals. Again, we expect this process to be really a 9-month process. There'll be ample opportunity for you to come in and provide comment on the environmental impact report. Once you get to Planning Commission, you'll be able to provide direct impact on the project itself in terms of your thoughts. But the goal is, we want to be as transparent as possible about what we intend to build. And we, invite comments. If we feel we need another town hall meeting, we're happy to do that as well, probably some point in the fall. but we want to make sure that this is an open exchange of information so you know exactly what's coming to McKinleyville and what the operation is going to look like, and any other questions. We want to be around and able to answer any other questions you have about the facility. So right now we're just really focused on phase 1 and phase 2. You know, we get past those 2 phases, then we can talk about construction. So again, I think that's kind of it for the Amazon presentation today. Again, I'm Stephen Meduli Williams. My contact information will be available to anyone in this room and anyone that's online. Happy to answer any other questions the rest of today about Amazon and the project. Thank you.
Okay, before we launch into questions, Sonia is going to give just a really brief presentation.
Good evening. My name is Sonia Kins, and I work for Panettone Development Company. We are engaged by Amazon as the real estate developer for this project. I want to give you a little bit of background. We are a family-owned company. We've been in business 40 years, established and started in California. I've seen a couple questions come up about this project and, you know, why haven't you learned about it sooner? So we saw Stephen's presentation, and you talked about phase 1, which brought us here today. I'll mention that there is kind of behind the scenes of phase 0. That is identifying a site and coming up with how to initially present a project. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes before a project is even presented to the planning department. But what you saw when it hit the news back in February, what you're seeing in Stephen Lazar's presentation, you're seeing what we call the initial planning submittal. That is a dynamic process. And so even between the initial planning submittal and the site plan that's on the screen now, there have been changes, there have been improvements, and there will continue to be modifications and improvements as we hear inputs and questions that come up today, as we hear comments from the planning department, from the coastal commission, from various departments inside and outside of the county that have comments and concerns and various input about the project. So this is a dynamic process, and so we do want to hear what you have to say. I do want to mention this project is in a master planned business park that considered the conversion from undeveloped land when that was approved under the EIR that was mentioned by Steve Lazar back in 1998. And the initial design of this project took into consideration the specifications associated with converting that undeveloped land into a project to meet or exceed many of those specifications. The square footage of this project is 30% of what was originally planned for these 6 parcels of land. At its 40,290 square feet. The minimum landscape area for the master plan business park is 20%. This project has 40% green space. So, there are some things that we have tried to do here to improve the project over and above kind of the minimums. We have designed the project to have twice the minimum amount of electric vehicle charging that would otherwise be required for associate parking. We're putting in proactive underground infrastructure for future additional associate parking, employee parking, EV infrastructure, as well as EV vans. We are pre-piping the project for use of recycled water in the future, should that become available from the municipality, all to follow the newly adopted carbon action plan that's come along in Humboldt County. Amazon plans to put solar on the roof. They'll have battery storage for additional solar over and above what's minimally required. And in addition to that, in an effort to try to be a good neighbor and a good steward to the community, we have oriented the project in such a way, recognizing that there are neighbors immediately behind. We have the truck docks facing as far apart from the neighbors as possible. There'll be an 8-foot sound wall with landscaping facing the neighborhood along the back side of the project. All of the active lighting for the overnight activity is also happening on the Boeing side of the property, so there won't be light intrusion into the neighborhood overnight. We are keeping a majority of the existing trees along Boeing and Airport Road and placing additional trees to screen the project from view as visitors come to and from the airport. So the first thing that visitors to the area see is not a truck dock and semi-trucks if they're coming in overnight. There are only 10 truck docks, which is more than the number of trucks that are coming, but sometimes trailers are left in a truck bay to be returned on a different evening. There are 4 trailer parking spaces and 1 box truck parking space for a total of the 15 that you may have seen in some of the news reports. And I have seen some questions that have come up in some of the community comments asking about stormwater. There are storm basins placed on both parcels to control the amount of stormwater that flows off-site, and the vegetation in those basins will help to clean the water before it goes into the groundwater or flows off-site. Again, to minimize the impacts of the project on off-site resources. Steve mentioned that we are doing an EIR. I did want to mention the studies that go into that process help us to make a thorough and objective assessment of the potential impacts of this project on the environment. And it is our goal to try to be a good neighbor and a good steward and have the most minimal impact possible. And we are listening to what you have to say today. So that was my presentation.
I think we're ready for questions. So go for it.
Thank you. Go ahead. And
Okay. Can everyone hear me? All right. So I have been living here since 2005, and next to my neighbors who's been here longer. And just today, I found out my neighbor's son, who is about 27 years old, is moving to Idaho like within a month. He's getting the house ready so his dad could take care of the house now. And the reasons why he's going to Idaho is because of jobs. He's been looking for 5 years, can't find a job. I mean, a real job, a business job, not a distribution site that does other businesses. We have businesses here that we need to take care of. And yes, we're a rural town, and Amazon, we need Amazon. We do. Stop. My turn. So Amazon gets medical supplies fast if we need it, or other unusual items. Sometimes we need Amazon, sometimes. But wants are not needs. We need things, but the wants. I love my licorice candy and I love my hair product, but I'm not buying from Amazon anymore. I go to CVS or candy stores. It just is. And so, for my community that I've been here a long time, we get along, we don't get along, whatever, but we are a community, and we got to keep the money here so we could keep our children here and our grandchildren here. We have the college, we have opportunities, but they're leaving because of poor jobs. I'm worried about the jobs that are being created here for drivers. Where are we getting those drivers? They're stopping a little less from UPS and USPS. So you're going to be using your own drivers instead of those. So therefore, some of the jobs that you're adding may be coming from the jobs that are already here and just are doing a lateral move. If you want to make your opinion serious, change your buying habits. Really think about, do you need that licorice candy? do you need that hair product? Yes, you need your medical supplies and maybe the book for the book club this weekend. But really, think about it, because this is what's happening here. Last month, Amazon announced to its shareholders, rural America is the next frontier for Amazon. To the shareholders, they're going to make big bucks with rural. And this is happening. We have the airport, we have the highway. This is perfect for them. And we're making it happen every time we make a purchase. We have to make decisions with our wallet. I'm not sure I understand public comment, but this seems like a private person has sold their land to Amazon. They have the right to sell their land to anyone. I don't think we could really stop this process. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. I don't know. That's not my education level. But I can say...
Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to stop. Thanks.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay, my name's Morningstar. I'm a local resident here. And I have stopped buying from Amazon. And I feel really good about it because the presenter, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, made Amazon out to be like some wonderful place to work, but it's not. First of all, it's anti-union, and they fight against workers. They treat workers like crap. It's not new. You just talk to people who have worked for Amazon. It's not this wonderful place where they educate you and treat you so great. It's not. There's a center in Brookings, one in Reading. I mean, do we have to have an Amazon on every corner? Because that's what it's starting to look like. Amazon is taking over, and we don't need it. Why? And also, why do they want to be in one of the most pristine, beautiful areas of our coastline? We don't have traffic there right now. You don't have to work about getting your trucks in and out at certain hours, because right now, we don't have traffic in that area. But we will when Amazon comes in. And the other thing about Amazon is Bezos is an oligarch. He's going to, he doesn't care about this community. All he cares about is money, money, money. And that is Amazon. Amazon also is, also all of these cars that are be going in and out, we don't have pollution in that area now, but we will. And we'll have acidification on our coast from the trucks and all of the people that are going in and out. And you know what? Amazon's going to be robots in a very short amount of time, just like everywhere else. There's not going to be a lot of jobs here. It's not going to be a great thing for this community. It's going to be a bad thing for this community, and I'm against it.
So I'm sorry to do this, but I'm going to start putting a 2-minute limit on you so that we can get through, folks, and appreciate your patience. And the other thing is, I know that some of you just absolutely agree with the statements that are being made, but it'd be helpful to not clap so loud that the person speaking can't continue. So I'm going to ask you again. I'm going to ask you again to show respect so that we can allow everybody that wants to speak tonight in a civil way. Okay? Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. How does this Amazon distribution center enhance McKinleyville? How does this Amazon distribution center enhance McKinleyville? I'm asking the question.
Do you have other questions? If you do, go through them and then we'll respond to all your questions.
Let's ask, I have one more question, but it's very
short. Okay, go ahead.
Why McKinleyville?
Okay. So I think I'm going to turn the mic back over to Stephen, who identified that the reason that they're coming to McKinleyville is because there's the demand here. Okay, you may disagree with it. That's what was presented tonight.
So the reason I'm asking why McKinleyville is if there is a need, and I, for one, I confess, I buy a lot of things from Amazon. But if there is a need, why McKinleyville, and why can it be in Eureka, in the industrial section, where it will blend in, versus in McKinleyville, where it would stick out like a sore thumb, especially when people fly in to McKinleyville airport and they have this rural area bubble in their head, and the first thing they see is a big industrial building from the top. Not only that, as I mentioned, why McKinleyville? Why couldn't it be Eureka in the industrial section?
Thank you for your comment.
I'm asking you the question.
Yeah. So I think the first thing is that the site we found in McKinleyville is zoned for industrial use. And so that's kind of one of the first things we look at when we're looking at a new location is the site zoned for our appropriate use. So it checks that box. The second thing is that, and I'll say this again, is that we have customer demand here. And so we here so we can be closer to our customers.
Eureka is very centralized to everywhere in Humboldt County. So
thank you, ma'am. We got your comments.
So I'm not done. No, I'm not done. I have a comment to make. When I was listening to the Amazon representative, I felt like I was listening to a recruiter trying to entice me to join their company. And the last comment I want to say, and this is, I'm reading it off of internet, Amazon plans to significantly accelerate the use of robotics in its distribution centers, aiming to automate 75% of its operation by 2033. Just saying. Thank you.
John, you didn't answer her question. How does it enhance McKinleyville? Can someone from Humboldt, like our area, tell us how it's going to enhance McKinleyville?
Sure. So this is, as we presented, this is a use that's entirely consistent with the zoning, with the intended land use, with the design of the subdivision that was put into place many, many years ago. Yes, 1998. So this has been basically the intent for this area for the last nearly, 30 years. It provides, obviously, it provides a service that there's obviously a demand for. And I mean, I understand that there are people who just don't like Amazon. But if this didn't have the name Amazon on it, would it be such a volatile discussion? So, So let me say, I am very interested in all of you. So one of the things I'm going to say now, particularly the person in the back that's been calling me names, is if you'd like to talk to a sheriff's deputy, that can be arranged. I mean, this is really not a good representation of what it looks like to have a community meeting. So can you stop yelling, please? I'm trying to get through the line, ma'am. I'm sorry.
I've lived here for decades, a very long time. I want to thank everybody for coming, including everyone who's presented, but also everyone who's here from the community. I have a couple of two quick questions I'd like answers for. When you say line haul, you mean big semi-trucks, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And just to clarify back to the Coastal Commission piece, you're saying the Coastal Commission cannot appeal itself, but we as citizens can go to the Coastal Commission and ask for an appeal?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll go through my other questions, and I know we're in a time thing. I'm concerned that most of these jobs are going to be AI and robotic jobs. And then if they are actually human jobs, are those employees going to be allowed to call 911 if they are injured? And are they allowed to go to the bathroom on reasonable bathroom breaks? And are they going to be constantly surveilled? That is not good working conditions. I also want to know, Amazon built one of these centers in Arizona off I-10. It has remained dormant and empty for 2 years and is an eyesore to the people who live there with no jobs and nothing happening there. And I am curious to know, I know that you have said there was not, John Ford, but I would like to know if there's anything the county is offering to entice big companies. We'd rather have small businesses that are local. So that's it. Thank you.
Yep. If I could respond to that very quickly, there is nothing the county is giving to entice this business.
Hello, thank you. I am Eileen Mandelbaum, a resident of Arcata, and I'm here representing Mobilize Arcata Indivisible. We have many members here tonight. Raise your hands. We're part of the national movement of resistance against an increasing authoritarian federal government. But what I want to focus on is a concern about the Amazon Corporation that has to do with its business model. Amazon Web Services, AWS, has evolved from amassing a vast amount of personal information about consumers and is now the biggest broker of cloud storage in space in data centers on the planet. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security's DHS, including the FBI, and the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, pays AWS to store, sort, analyze, and share huge amounts of information. They use this to track, spy on, pursue, arrest, imprison, and deport immigrants. They undermine sanctuary cities by sharing data with law enforcement agencies to target people of color, formerly incarcerated people, activists, and people the government considers undesirable. Who's paying for this? We are. Our tax dollars and the funds that had been allocated by Congress to provide a myriad of services that the American people now don't get. Instead, the money is filling the pockets of tech executives. Amazon is making billions from these contracts. We have a choice. Should we enable this corruption and persecution by our government to continue at our expense and with our blessings? As a local government and as consumers, we have the power to say no. We can point our decisions and actions in a direction that uplifts our communities rather than degrades them. And I have information on Amazon's relationship with ICE and DHS, and there is a lot on the internet to read about this.
My name is Glenn Colwell, Arcata resident, property owner, taxpayer, grandfather. Thanks for this opportunity to comment. This is not just about land use or jobs, it's about the kind of community we choose to be and what corporate practices we are willing to accept. In April, at an Amazon facility in Troutdale, Oregon, a 46-year-old worker collapsed and died. Reports indicate coworkers were told to continue working nearby, some instructed to, quote, look away. The area was not immediately cleared. Productivity quotas remained in place. A person dies at work, and the system keeps moving. Whether the details are disputed or not, this reflects a well-documented reality. Intense productivity pressures, constant surveillance, and a system built around metrics, packages per hour, output above all else. When everything is measured that way, humanity becomes secondary. So the question is simple. Why would we bring that here? We should be clear. We should be clear about where this leads. Amazon has invested billions in robotics, automation, AI logistics. Hundreds of thousands of robots are already deployed. The stated goal is efficiency, which means fewer human workers over time. So we're being asked to approve a permanent facility based on jobs that are not intended to last. This is not economics. This is not economic development. Is it a temporary power model moving towards full automation? Supporters will say this brings jobs. The better question is what kind of jobs, for how long, and at what cost. Meanwhile, local businesses that actually circulate money within this community are forced to compete with a corporation at a completely different scale. Amazon is no longer just a retailer. Through its cloud division, it provides infrastructure, data storage, AI capabilities to governments and defense-related agencies worldwide. That raises a broader question about what we are choosing. This decision is not just about a warehouse. We must invest in resiliency, locally rooted businesses, or expand dependence on a multinational corporation whose priorities are set elsewhere. This is a moment to draw a line. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Laurel. I live in Arcata. I want to start by thanking the county for having this meeting and for engaging with the community on this. I think it's really important, and I appreciate that you guys are doing that work. The gentleman before me mentioned this, but I think it bears repeating. On April 6 in Troutdale, Oregon, at an Amazon warehouse, a worker dropped dead. His fellow workers were told to continue their work around his body for over an hour until paramedics arrived. One coworker who tried to assist with CPR was told by her supervisor she was not allowed to and to get back to work. These are not the actions of a company that cares about its workers or its community. These are not the actions of an employer that I want in my community. If we don't want them here, they say they're here because there's a demand. Make there not be a demand.
No one in my...
Ma'am, I'm going to let Stephen respond to the comment about Troutdale.
So I'll be very quick.
Okay. No one in my family ever uses Amazon. We buy local, and if we have to do something online because we need it, we make great pains to always avoid Amazon. There's this like tremendous evil over the land with its networks everywhere, with actually sociopathic oligarchs with bozos at the very head of it. Something we actually don't need here. Anyway, so as far as I'm concerned, that's big picture. Also, they use like illegal labor practices. We don't want that here. Those kinds of jobs, we don't want our children to work at soulless jobs for a sociopath. I mean, that's not what we want for our community, no matter how many jobs there are.
Hello. Several people brought up the question that I was going to ask already regarding the policy that apparently you have of not allowing people to call 911 if someone has collapsed. I was wondering, my first question is that policy still standing? And
That actually is
I'm a little hard of hearing, so excuse
Okay,
me.
yeah, that's absolutely not true. That's actually misinformation. In terms of the incident at Troutdale, there were 3 medical team, internal medical team associates that had CPR training that was there to attend to the unfortunate individual who passed away due to other medical conditions that that employee already had. And so the whole goal was to protect the privacy and space of that individual so that trained CPR professionals could provide the assistance. And so that's why an additional, maybe another employee thought if they were told to move on, it's only because there were additional CPR a part of the site's medical team providing assistance. So there's a lot of misinformation that's being spread about that incident, and it's really unfortunate that people take the opportunity to spread information about something so serious and so painful. But I just want to be real clear that no one prevented anyone from calling 911, and that there were trained professionals with CPR certification providing attendance. Thank you.
Oh, and my second question is, our roads are already like washboards. Our roads are already very much like washboards. I ride the bus and it goes, and nobody seems to be able to get our roads paved and smooth. I'm wondering, is there any plans to for your company to help make our roads more smooth if they're going to have all this extra traffic on them?
So one of the things that was done when the subdivision was put in is you'll notice that area down there was widened, that Airport Road was widened. And so the development within, that prepared the way for the development within the business park. So no, there won't be additional requirements to put in additional improvements because that piece of road is actually in very good shape. In Humboldt County, also, the roads are deteriorating. That's why Measure O was passed. And you will see that right on Airport Road, that was recently repaved, and there's a sign there that says this is the result of Measure O. So that's what's intended to fix the washboard roads that we have. Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Zohreb. I'm a biological anthropologist at Cal Poly Humboldt. As many people here, I have a lot of concerns about this warehouse. First of all, satellite data found in 2024 that there's a 20% increase of nitrogen dioxide when a warehouse moves into town, which is associated with pediatric asthma, developmental delays, cardiovascular disease, death. Fossil fuels have been identified as the greatest threat to children and children's health as of current. I find this additionally concerning as you reported to the Lost Coast Outpost that you expect 542 daily trips regularly and 828 daily trips during seasonal year. And you also reported to the Lost Coast Outpost that that would be at a period from 7:30 to 9 a.m. when there is buses taking people to local schools around this area. It is not just for the children's health I am concerned. I am also concerned for the laborers' health, as Amazon has been proven by multiple studies to have physically dangerous and psychologically damaging working conditions. Can you please clarify? And they have also been known to strain communities' demand for emergency services and emergency health when they move in, which our health systems here are very strained already. I am asking, what are you going to do to release these dangerous pollutants that are going to harm our children and our grandparents? How do you plan to support Humboldt's strained health infrastructure?
I can speak on the air quality issue. So again, as part of the environmental impact report, there will be an air quality study done specifically that, that focuses on the traffic, the types of vehicles that are being used, the times, as well as the neighboring environment. And so we'll obviously look at that study to see if there's any impacts that are generated from our use, because we're building a delivery station and not a warehouse.
Satellite data did find that all warehouses have this increased 20% of nitrogen dioxide. It's already confirmed. I'm asking how you're going to reduce that in your area.
And as I said, we're going to rely on the California, the environmental impact report is required by CEQA to determine what the level of impacts that need to be mitigated, if any.
Well, there's going to be impacts. The studies have already been done. This is a question of what you will do.
So if I could, maybe just to make things a little more simple. Obviously, you're bringing that up as something that needs to be studied and addressed. So the first thing that Amazon will do is to identify that as an impact, identify what the cause of it, and what can be done to reduce that. Mm-hmm. Then the EIR will identify those measures that can be taken to minimize those impacts. And that's a normal part of an EIR. Maybe, I don't know if the resources that you're looking at were specifically from California or not, but NOx emissions are evaluated as part of greenhouse gases in California, and so that's something that will need to be addressed.
Okay, and how are you going to support Humboldt's strained infrastructure? A review done by Anna Walter in 2020 revealed that communities are often paying more for Amazon to come in, and that when Amazon does move in, there is further strain put on these emergency health services on a local and national level that taxpayers here often have to pay for.
To be perfectly honest, we need to take a look at that study, because that's not from, we don't get that same perspective from the data that we have.
I'll email it to you. Can you also...
So I've let you go quite a bit over 2 minutes right now.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
I have a comment and a question. My comment is about community safety. I'm concerned there's an epidemic of warehouse fires sweeping this country, and my concern is that building this warehouse presents a 100% increase in risk of warehouse fires in this community. My question is actually for the audience. Did y'all know anyone can buy a drip torch at our local hardware store? It's a great way to support local business.
Hi, my name is Carissa. I live in Arcata. A friend asked me to ask, is this, all of our comments, are they being recorded for public record?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I just wanted to share, in 2019, a coalition of activists, union leaders, and politicians stopped Amazon from building a second center in Queens, New York. So yes, it can be done. We can stop Amazon. And as you said before, someone mentioned that this is a dynamic process, but we all know how powerful Amazon is. I mean, just Google the amount of human rights violations they've committed against their workers, yet continue to expand and colonize land and natural resources. This community is responding in righteous frustration to an asymmetrical power dynamic. I wonder what all the local environmental centers have to say, and the tribes, and our farmers. And lastly, respectability politics will not save us. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Regina Chicazola. I'm here tonight with Communities United for Water Protection. And I wanted to, first of all, say I'm opposed to putting Amazon in this area. I did grow up in an area that was heavily polluted and where we didn't have clean waters or coastlines and we could not get near the ocean at all. And my son, we lived only a few miles from where this would go. My son has asthma. We actually had to move here because he could no longer live in places where there's fire, so he had access to clean air. And I don't think it's worth the risk. I also wanted to say that I'm really concerned that with the location of this Amazon center, there are a lot of zoned areas for industrial use in Eureka. Many of them are empty. And for me, it seems to me the reason why you would want to put it in this area is because there's room to grow. And that makes me really wonder what's next. Is this going to be the next data center for Amazon? Data centers can use as much water as 10,000 people. And when I moved to the area, we weren't able to get onto the town water supply because there wasn't enough water. Meanwhile, we're going to put a big warehouse in this area. What is going to be the water use? What is going to be the runoff? Is it going to pollute our already very polluted coastline here? I don't think it's worth the risk. I've worked within CEQA a lot, and I know you need to disclose any plans for expansion. I know you need to disclose if you are going to be doing a data center or looking at a data center, and I can't imagine you're not going to. Obviously, we're a prime location for that kind of thing, and this community cannot handle it. We don't need the mass surveillance, we don't need the pollution, and we don't need the water use. And I also want to say, the people can do anything that they want to. We could fight Amazon, and we will keep you out. I mean, does anyone here, raise your hand if you don't support Amazon coming into our communities. I think an undeveloped area within the coastal zone, in an area that does have water issues, it's the wrong place, and I don't support it. And I want to know why. Why do you want to be in an undeveloped area?
Thank you, ma'am. You're
Thank
over
you.
2 minutes. Thanks.
I did have a question.
Well, I actually work at the Airport Business Park. I've had a business there for 20 years, and it's been forever that it's been we've been trying to get it to grow. And I am a business person, and I help a lot of people that have businesses that rely on Amazon. They are affiliates. And I really appreciate that Amazon is coming to our area because I believe in balanced growth. I don't believe in just one type of business. I believe that in order for our Humboldt County economy to grow, we need different types of business. So I welcome you, and you will be my neighbor.
Hello, my name is Pluto Bowen. I'm a student at Cal Poly Humboldt, and I work in an after-school program in Sunnybrae. Obviously, this data center this distribution center is very concerning to me. I care a lot about the kids that I work with, and I'm concerned about this impacting their health, as many others have stated. But I'm just going to get to the questions I have. You mentioned about this career choice program, and while I understand that Cal Poly is not a part of it, and there's a cap at $5,250 a year, but it covers 100% of tuition. Cal Poly is one of the cheapest institutions in California, even I would consider a majority of the United States. How does that work? That was just a question I was confused about.
If you're going to school part-time, that $5,250 goes toward classes. And that's the cap per year. It does not cover full tuition. So you would get your degree part-time.
Okay, so not 100% tuition covered. Small businesses, I just want to make a comment. I think a lot of people express that we want local businesses, not just small businesses who are funded through Amazon. I understand that Amazon makes a lot of things accessible in that sense, but we want local businesses here, or at least I want a local business here. What is a sound wall? I'm a little confused about that. That's been mentioned several times, but there's been no description of what it is. I understand it's to block sound, but in what capacity?
I can address the sound wall question. In this particular case, it is an 8-foot wall. Oh, sorry. It is an 8-foot wall that is built out of masonry brick to help block the sound of the operation of the warehouse from the residences. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay. And then it will be screened from the residences by landscaping on the residence side. So they will see trees, that once the trees grow up, they'll see a lot of trees, as opposed to just seeing a brick wall.
Okay, thank you. And there was a description on the first presentation about, or I believe it's the second one, I can't quite remember, but it was the McKinleyville district funding water and sewage. What is the situation on that?
The McKinleyville Community Services District serves this subdivision and will serve the proposed development should it be approved.
Okay, thank you. So I feel like I've made my stance pretty clear. I am not for an Amazon distribution center here. I care about the kids that I work with, and I want them to be safe. I want people to want to live here. I've only lived here for 2 years, but I feel like this place has become my home, and I care about it deeply. Amazon is not the way to go. I think we can do better, and I think we can import better businesses that are not a national corporation who exploit their workers.
My name is Robert Thoman, and I moved here in 1970 to go to school. I stayed. I've been riding bicycles in McKinleyville since '84, almost daily. Airport Road is only one halfway that they made it wider. There's no bicycle lane on the other half that goes over Central Avenue. None, zero. The north end of Central Avenue has no bike lanes. And when there were 5,000 people here, that wasn't a big deal. But now there's a lot more than that. Those roads need to be improved. You're right directly across the street from the piece of property that I brought, so I'm looking right straight across the street at the ocean right now. Now you're going to be warehouses and trucks. So I'm sorry I'm selfish, but I don't want to see it here.
Hello, my name is Ken Miller. I have a short list of issues. I really don't want to hear your answers, and I don't want you to. I'm not giving this to you so you can fix things, but I want to just give you this list. We haven't heard about the range of distribution. Is this Del Norte to Soham, or where is it? Is there any air transport involved in this? We haven't heard anything about air delivery of freight. We haven't heard anything about the cumulative impacts with Richardson Grove, which is going to vastly increase STA truck traffic. The plastic pollution is a big deal. You're going to be introducing a lot more plastic around here. One study found 600 million pounds was delivered, with 24 million entering the environment. Of course, the data center has been brought up. And the last thing is of really, I think, critical importance. This is salmonid country. And toxicity from the tires of your vans, of your trucks, of all your delivery vehicles emit toxins that are particularly toxic to coho, but also to all other salmonid species. Of course, I didn't hear you mention very much about any of this, but this is salmonid country, and we're real concerned about the rejuvenation of these fish. Thank you.
Hi. There's feedback? No. Do I hear feedback? Or an echo? Okay, thanks. My name is Kathleen Marshall. I've lived in Humboldt County for 48 years, 36 of those years in Arcata. I, not too long ago, made a resolution to not buy anything on Amazon. I find it just as effective to buy directly from manufacturers.
and businesses themselves. But one thing I really wanted to bring up, which was mentioned in Amazon Representative Stevens' presentation, was that Amazon provides insurance for medical care, vision care, dental care. That doesn't mean a thing in Humboldt County. It doesn't mean a thing in Del Norte County. It doesn't mean a thing in Trinity County. It doesn't mean anything in Siskiyou County. We are not a medical mecca. In fact, we are a medical wasteland. Yeah, so I mean, a lot of us, especially as we get older, travel out of the area. To get medical care. There are no dentists taking private patients, and I mean, in expanding their medical practices. There are no doctors' offices accepting new patients. I get my care through Humboldt Open Door Clinic, which is federally qualified health center. They're not taking new patients. And how do you, I was also wondering how you expect us to buy into this added value because Amazon is here in Humboldt County, I'm just gonna say it, crap, when you don't even know this county. Amazon does not know this county well enough to know that we do not have health care.
You're well over 2 minutes right now.
Oh, am I?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so, and that's because you guys took up an hour and 10 minutes of this meeting with your presentations. I also just have one more thing to say. Thank you to the County of Humboldt for holding this, and shame on the County of Humboldt for not being able to set up the technology, test it before the meeting has started, and for not being able to figure out Zoom and how to do the video on Zoom. I can do that from my house. I could do it for 1,000 people if I wanted it. And you cannot achieve it here. Shame on the county. Yeah, and I will be attending Planning Commission meetings, and I will be attending Board of Supervisors meetings, and I encourage everybody who is in this room and who is listening in to go to those meetings.
Well, I apologize to the people behind me that I'm cutting the line. I live in Eureka, and I've lived in Eureka since '97, so, and I'm really not a Humboldt person, but you guys all are. You choose to live here. And he said, well, if you didn't want to do that, you'd go to another warehouse somewhere. I don't think very many of you would say, oh, I'm going to go to the warehouse over in Seattle or whatever. The other thing I noticed is they said there was going to be, 44 trucks, delivery trucks? But he said that was all farmed out to different businesses. So they're not Amazon employees. They belong to the trucking company or whatever. It just doesn't make sense that they're going to put a warehouse next to an airport and not use the airport. They might not use the airport for a year, but they will fly the stuff in. Otherwise, they could have put it in Wiyot or Oric or anywhere, but they need an airport. You know, and I know I listened to the news and it said in January that Amazon cut 6,000 employees because they robotic to alter their warehouse that they were doing. 6,000 men and women put out of jobs is a lot. You know, and it seems to me that they don't need to be here. But I quit buying from Amazon, maybe 10 years ago because I looked at Bezos and I went, he wants us to all buy from Amazon only, and that's where it's going. You look at things that you can't buy now that you could buy 10 or 20 years ago, and the only place you can get it is on Amazon, if you can get it there. I was raised to do a lot of things myself, and I go into a hardware store and they don't have anything, so I got to go online. You know, I think this is a terrible thing for Humboldt. And because they decided to put it next to an airport, I can't believe they're not going to use it.
Thank you, Grandma Nell.
Hello, I'm Michelle Williams, a resident of McKinleyville for 30 years. You know, I've learned a lot already just being here from your presentation and the speakers. I came here with one agenda, and I've learned so much that I've changed my comments. But I will say I do use Amazon, and I wanted to point out that there's over 17,000 people in the community service district of McKinleyville. We are not incorporated. And there's about less than 2% of that entire population here tonight. Like 350 people would be 2% of the entire population of McKinleyville. I would venture to say the majority of the 17,000 residents use Amazon. I think that's fair because that's why you're here. There's a need, there's a demand, right? And so I guess what I would say to my fellow neighbors is that if you want to affect a value change, because I'm hearing a lot of decisions that are based on values, that you would need to find another mode to reach the majority of our McKinleyville population. So I guess I appreciate the differences in opinion. I've learned a lot. I hope to make the best purchasing decisions I can based on the information I gain over time. But again, I just want to acknowledge that mass behavior is driving this meeting tonight.
Hi, my name's Laura. I'm a certified nursing assistant. I bought my house in McKinleyville in 2003. I have 2 sons that I'm raising here. I haven't spent any money on Amazon since 2020 or before. I encourage everybody to boycott if you're not already boycotting. I just want to bring up the fact that we've already talked about lack of medical, lack of decent roads. When we have a normal storm in Humboldt County, we have at least 5 to 10 roads that just go out normally. So all I can think about is 2024, Hurricane Helene is building. Amazon workers say they're scared to go to work. They're told if they don't go to work, they'll be fired. They come to work. They're told they can't leave till somebody talks to Jerry. Well, by the time they talked to Jerry, it was too late. We know at least 4 Amazon workers died in that storm. It's pretty obvious you don't truly care about your workers, and I'm suspecting you'll keep all your workers around 20 hours a week so they never get any of those benefits that you're touting. Thank you.
My name's Billy. I am a Humboldt County resident over the last 13 years. And I have some questions about, first of all, do not support Amazon landing in Humboldt County or really anywhere for the myriad reasons, moral, ethical reasons that have been stated by many people tonight. But I have some questions about, Oh, there's an echo in here. That's what it is. Okay. So you kind of talked about business contract drivers. Could you remind us what percentage of the employees will be business contract drivers?
115 full-time employees and 112 part-time employees. 112 part-time employees will be flex drivers.
Okay, out of how many drivers how many employees will be employed at this business?
227 total.
Okay, so about half.
Yes.
Okay. So it sounds like half of those folks you do not have control over whether or not those are local residents that they get hired, because those are business contract drivers. They're hired by like another entity. Is that correct?
They are actually hired themselves. They go online, they apply to be a flex driver. So it's actually they hire themselves.
Okay, great. Oh, no, I'm not talking about the flex drivers. I'm talking about the contract drivers that are contracted by other folks. The flex drivers are folks that can...
They will be employees of a delivery service partner company. So they will be full-time employees of another company.
Yeah, so you do not have the option to potentially choose to have any local employees. You could essentially have yeah, go ahead.
So when it comes to hiring local, we're very intentional about that. So as we start the hiring process, once a site begins to open, we work with local workforce development partners to zero in on those clients, people who are local, because it's a win-win for the employees, it's a win-win for us. So we're very intentional about hiring local, and we work with the school districts, local workforce development organizations, local nonprofits. We make every effort possible, not only to initially hire locally.
I think I get your idea. Since I have 2 minutes, I'm just going to reclaim my time, but I appreciate that. Additionally, the flex drivers, how much on average would their wage be?
I will have to take a note on that because it's regional, and so I don't know because we don't have any flex drivers in this region. Before I actually give you an average wage, I'd rather do some research and get back to you on that.
Okay, great. And then additionally, I just did a quick ZipRecruiter search to see the average wage of a delivery driver, and it's about $28.41 an hour, and it seems like on average you're paying your employees about $22 an hour, so it sounds like you're kind of lowballing your employees. Could you kind of explain that?
So that's a national average. And so the
$22 an hour is a national average?
Right. So in some regions it could be a little bit more. Some regions it could be less. So no, we are not lowballing anyone. We are, basically hiring people based on, the economies of the local area that they operate in. The average is just kind of a baseline number.
So the economy in Humboldt County is kind of really hurting. I'm sure you're aware of, you've heard from like many different people in this audience tonight. So what I'm kind of concerned about is that if you're basing it off of averages in the local area, that they will likely be lowballed on their hourly wage below what the Eureka average for a contract driver is. That's just something I want to mention, but y'all all should just be coming to every single one of these events because the way that we stop these people is by showing up every time. And I also would like to say for folks that live in McKinleyville, I think it's amazing that McKinleyville residents show up, but also this affects Humboldt County wide, not just McKinleyville residents. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm short. I had to reduce it a little bit. My name is Isabel. I've lived in Humboldt County for 25 years. My family's from Humboldt County. I'm familiar with the area. I know that it may seem, the people here might seem quaint or small town to you. I'm sure it's a lot different than what you are used to, but our opinions and our struggles are no less valuable. As we all know, Humboldt County needs jobs, and I completely understand the impulse to allow a new employer to move into the area. I ask everybody to consider what kind of employers we're allowing into our community. Humboldt needs jobs, but jobs with living wages, good health benefits for all employees, and safe working conditions. What we don't need is people like Jeff Bezos, a man with a vested interest in continuing to make our country a worse place for the working class while getting rich off of our labor. Unrealistic work quotas, dangerous warehouse conditions, union busting, and driving out local businesses in the name of shareholder profit. Where do we as a community draw the line? Will we next let Bezos' cronies move in AI data centers to poison our water and drive up electricity costs for the community? Next, will we allow, I don't know, ICE facilities to come in and kidnap our neighbors from us? I think what we are learning is that we draw the line here. I care about my neighbors. I care about other working class people, and I care about Humboldt County, and I urge you all to do the same. Thank you.
Hello. So I think it was mentioned before that Amazon works with 60% of small local businesses. So I guess a question I have is that why are these businesses struggling? Why are these businesses falling? Why are they at a decline if you and many other mega corporations are consistently saying, oh, we're going to work with local businesses. Oh, we care about these people, but they're consistently going out of business. I think that tells me that you actually do not care about local businesses, but you want to take their property and then take their customers and make their profits. You don't care about these people. You just want to make profit and get rid of these people. And also, I think it was mentioned that, it was mentioned before that Amazon gives information to the government, to ICE, to the FBI, the fastest attacking us. And I've also learned that recently the Department of Homeland Security is hiring in Eureka. The Border Patrol, they are hiring in this county right now as we speak. You can look up on indycourier.com, they are hiring. How are we going to know that you're not going to use these people to spy on us and give it to the fascist government and take people away? What are you going to do to not collaborate with these fascists? Oh yeah, they are. They're gonna. You don't care about us. You don't care about the environment. You don't care about us here. You don't care about anything other than money. And if it's gonna kill us, you're more than happy to kill us to make money.
Hi there. My name's Naja. So I don't really have anything incredibly moving or inspiring to say, unfortunately, but I do have some questions, and some questions specifically for our planning staff. First of all, an environmental impact report is required under CEQA, and I was curious, I'm aware that there's 20 plus criteria that are assessed in the environmental impact analysis component, and I was curious if all of those are going to be assessed, or if there's certain triggers for evaluating the full socioeconomic impacts as well as just the physical environmental components. And what are the triggers for those?
Socioeconomic impacts are not environmental impacts unless they result in a degradation of the environment, and you can demonstrate that.
Okay.
So typically those are not evaluated in an EIR. As Mr. Lazar mentioned earlier, it's anticipated that this is going to be a focused EIR to really evaluate the things that are more current issues that were not addressed in the same manner either in the previous 2017 general plan, the 2002 McKinleyville community plan, or the EIR that was done for the McKinleyville Business Park when it was developed.
Okay. I think that's super sufficient. Thank you. So that means that there's going to be, because this is a focused EIR, this is more for my companions around me to just be aware that there are going to be a lot of factors that probably aren't being incorporated. And so I also just wanted to note with regard to the Troutdale incident, Amazon is stating that there were trained employees, and so that's an incredibly ambiguous statement. That could be employees who got an 8-hour training on CPR and have never actually done it in their lives. It could mean a lot of different things, and so just be aware that Amazon's priority right now is damage control. So I also just wanted to confirm to the planning staff that this is zoned industrial or commercial?
It's zoned business park, and warehouse and distribution centers are what are called principally permitted uses. They are the intended uses of the site.
Okay. So I just wanted to note that this master plan business park, the business park master plans from 1998, which is almost 30 years old. As I understand in my limited experience with urban planning, that's pretty old for a master plan. We're aware that the area designated for this development has essentially been underdeveloped for these entire 30 years. So I'm simply posing that maybe the master plan for the business park should be updated to reflect actual community desires now, because it seems that the intended use of the time in 1998 isn't actually coming to fruition. So maybe that means it's outdated and maybe needs to be reviewed. Just posing that. I also, let's see here. Sorry, I have a lot of notes. You mentioned that the county isn't getting any kickbacks or benefits of any kind. Can you just confirm that? Is Amazon getting some sort of tax breaks? Like, is there some sort of arrangement that's not fully disclosed?
There are no kickbacks going to Amazon at all. There are no kickbacks coming to the county at all. The two things that would, part of any development is increased property tax, because now there's development on the site. So there will be money that goes to schools. There'll be money that goes to fund other things in the county. And most of the property tax does go to the schools, keep in mind.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Can I just address the use of terminology, kickbacks? Really what you want to say is incentives, because no one's taking any kickbacks. And as I said before, and I'll be real clear again, we have not asked for an incentive associated with this project and will not ask for an incentive associated with this project. Okay. It's really
Thanks
clear.
for the terminology clarity. I was using kickback because that's something our staff used just earlier tonight. For you, please, and I missed your name. What was your name again, sir?
My name is Stephen Meduli Williams.
Okay, Stephen. Okay, and then our planner also is Stephen.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So Stephen Meduli, sir, you mentioned 60% of Amazon businesses are small businesses. Do you have any figures as to how much of that portion is foreign and or selling mass-produced goods on Amazon?
I do not have that number right at my hand today, no.
Okay. And then you said that this is in response to demand for local customers and that packages are going to be distributed based on zip code. Do you have figures for exactly how many local customers are going to be reached with this, sorry, it's not distribution center, it's final.
Last mile delivery station.
Yeah, there
no,
we go. Final delivery station.
Yeah, I do not, with me, have the number of customers we have in the area.
Okay, that's really interesting, yeah, because that's a major thrust for why it's being argued that this should be here. So I think everyone in the room should note that, what it's worth. I mean, that's a huge argument here, because we've already established that jobs are very minimal and they're going to be phased out in 5 to 10 years most likely. And
so I'm not sure where that came from, but
yeah.
This is a last mile delivery station that is going to be built in 2 years. And we're not going to replace workers at a last mile delivery station with robots. So I don't know where that fallacy came from, but that is just not accurate.
I think it's just an established understanding that we as a collective know that tech companies are.
It doesn't reflect reality.
My little brother worked in a distribution center and he was surrounded by entirely robots and there are only like a few other humans there. So I mean, we know that that's the direction that things are going, is to replace human labor. I think that's kind of just established.
I know I'm really unpopular for watching the clock, but you're now at 6 minutes. Yeah,
well, guess what? I finished. Awesome. Thank you so much. I know this is hard work. I appreciate y'all being here. And yeah, thanks.
My name's Dave Keniston. I moved to Humboldt County 48 years ago. I've lived in McKinleyville for about 12. I have a house about a mile from the airport. I moved here to kind of get away from the corporate lifestyle out there in LA and San Francisco. I think most of us probably moved here for that rural feeling, slower pace of life, less traffic. And I see this changing if Amazon is allowed to build their factory there. Tourists also, somebody else mentioned, tourists coming here for the small town, country, rural lifestyle. And I think this facility is bigger than any other building that I know of in McKinleyville. Maybe the old Kmart. Maybe you guys could take over the old Kmart. No, I'm not condoning being here, but you're bigger than the airport. I mean, we're a small community. We've grown kind of fast, but we kind of need to put the brakes on. We've kind of getting bigger in our britches. And so for that reason, I don't think they should be there. Also, we also have increased traffic. I've lived near the airport for 12 years now. I've seen the traffic volume triple at the airport. We used to get about 3 flights a day. Now I think it's 8, so it's 16 coming in and out. I smell jet fuel at my place a mile from the airport, and I have to breathe the exhaust from those planes. So adding any kind of new facility that's going to use a lot of transportation is really going to harm our air quality and water quality. And the water is the other thing. Where does the water go from this building? 43,000 square feet or 40,000 square feet? If you work that out, I don't know if you know how much it rains in Humboldt County, but I've been keeping track of the weather for about 12 years now. We get about 5 feet of rain in McKinleyville per year. That works out to 2 million gallons of water coming off the roof of your building. That's just the roof of the building. That's not the parking lots. I would hope you'd put permeable pavers in if you ended up doing this project. But the water has to go somewhere. I know you have ponds designed for the project. What happens if we have a massive earthquake and the water goes over that pond? We live in the most seismically active place in the United States. So you have to think about the seismic potential. If you're going to be storing 2 million gallons of water in a pond, that could happen. The other thing is, he's just a bad employer. Rob Bonta has a lawsuit now. Apparently, Amazon's being investigated for price fixing and anti-competitive practices. People enumerated all the other violations you've had. And I just don't think we need to let a predatory corporation into our community. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sean Stipik. I'm a Humboldt County resident, and I'm extremely concerned about the building of this warehouse for multiple reasons. The first is the historically awful treatment of its workers, as well as being anti-union and proactive in its union-busting actions. Second are the adverse economic impacts of bringing a multinational corporation to a local community. Third is being against the consensus of the local community, as you can see from the turnout here. Fourth, supporting an unequal system where the actual income equality of the worker does not matter, but making a billionaire richer, essentially, is the bottom line. The impact on the homes nearby, exacerbating the effects on air quality on top of being located near airport. And the multitude of significant impacts that can have on resources such as ecological, biological, just the plants, animals, and humans, waterways within this area, as well as the lack of tribal consent or outreach. And then on top of that, you tout this environmental impact report that you're creating, these public outreach meetings you're doing. I believe that the only reason these are being done, in my opinion, is because they are required by law under the California Environmental Quality Act. And for all these reasons and much more, I am strongly opposed to this Amazon warehouse. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Leslie. I'm a student at Cal Poly Humboldt. I canceled my Amazon account probably 5 years ago, but for instance, that various residents have visited before. We will not benefit from more development. I don't think you understand what type of community we walked into today. It's a community of farmers, students, entrepreneurs, small business owners, tribal members, culture builders, and so much more. If we wanted a more convenient way, I think to obtain an Amazon package, we'd probably move out of Humboldt. I understand that the language being used is under the economic development plan. The ecological damage that will occur if we develop more near the airport will be detrimental to the wildlife corridors, locals recreating, and native plant habitats that don't only support us physically and mentally, but culturally as well. The decisions we make as a community need to foster a future for the next generation. That includes non-human beings. The convenience culture isn't welcome here. We need healthcare, not faster delivery of a kitchen appliance that can be found locally. I'm aware that Amazon is also dipping their toes into the pharmacy industry by delivering prescriptions. But at what cost? We need more healthcare. We need more access to healthcare. And my question is, who will be implementing the CEQA report, the third party or an affiliate to Amazon?
The EIR.
Could you repeat that?
The EIR is the county's.
Oh, the EIR.
Reviewed by the county, and it has to be in the independent discretion of the county.
So on that point, I would also like to suggest that future meeting would explain acronyms that might be coming up with the EIR, like some hidden acronyms that won't help the general public understand what we're looking for. So I'll leave this room with a quote by John Trudell. There are things in the world that we need to have to survive, and there are things in this world that we want because we want them. We are going to have to relearn the difference. Thank you.
Hello. I had a lot to say, but sadly I was last. Most of the people have already did a wonderful job basically answering these questions on pollution that the warehouse will cause, noise pollution as well, the lack of the pathetic attempt of Band-Aid that will put on unemployment, as Amazon, no matter what he says, will continue to automate. It's a business. That's just how it works. So I'm actually here to ask, as a community, do we support companies that participate in imperialism and genocide? That's right. Why has Amazon has funded Project Nimbus about $1.22 billion, as well as using practices of unequal exchange to rob the third world of its natural resources. I know you're the CEO of Amazon here, and I want you to answer this question. I know you're not lawful, but why as a community should we support a company that participates in this? Thank you.
Someone answer that one? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for staying late. Is that on? Am I on? Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you for staying late. There are three things that I'd like to bring to your attention. First off, I endorse everything that everyone has said about the impact that Amazon Warehouse will have on our communities. As someone whose family has been along the North California coast for 5 generations, it's important to realize the communities and how important they are to us. the local business people and how important their sales to our customers are. It's important that when you talk about all the wonderful benefits Amazon will provide, many of our shopkeepers can't do that. We do have a base salary now for most of our businesses at $20 an hour. So I'm not concerned about that. But I am concerned that with the kind of attractions you're offering people, you're going to draw away the best of Humboldt County's shops into Amazon. And I'm concerned about that. Second thing I'm concerned about is that when you talk about coming into Humboldt County, we, the residents, have built everything. We have the roads. We have the firemen. Thank God for the fire people. The police. We have our local government in place. We have our schools. We have all of the things that our community needs. And we need to have people who can stay here and work within that community structure because we have already made that investment. It concerns me that when I look at the Sam Walton model, and I'm old enough to remember that, Sam Walton came in with Walmart and all of a sudden everybody's prices were cheaper at Walmart and the employees were getting paid more. And inside of a year, prices had gone up, other businesses had gone out of business, and the employees were moved to part-time, no medical benefits, no vision, no health insurance, none of the benefits, because everybody became a part-time employee. So that kind of model is not the kind of model that we want here in Humboldt County. And that's what I'm hearing from Amazon. The final thing that I would ask, so I would like to ask that we do an economic analysis of what the impact to our local businesses will be by bringing Amazon in. And the final thing that I would ask for, and I think that our entire county will support this, is a 25-year moratorium on the use of that facility for detaining or transferring ICE detainees. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joe. I moved here 5 years ago in 2021, and it was the first time I've lived in a community that did not have an Amazon distribution center. I have found it to be, there is the most art and local food and local clothes, and just the community here is flourishing in ways that every place that I've been before with an Amazon distribution center has been devoid of. I have friends and family that live in other areas that do have these, and they are missing out on so much, and they are struggling more to find jobs than even here in Humboldt because of how much Amazon has driven out other jobs that used to be available. Another thing, I do work at one of the open door community health centers, and I do want to say if you're having a hard time finding quick access to medications, please reach out to the local pharmacies. I know Redwood Community, Barnes, and Open Door RX. I'm pretty sure Greens in Fortuna as well. They all deliver very quickly and they're very helpful. And so everything that Amazon could offer for the medications, they do. And they will work with you so much better and so much more personally than anything that Amazon can offer.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Pierce. I once ran for Board of Supervisors in Stockton in Humboldt County, Florida. I know why you're here. It's for the airport. Now, do you know why this airport was built? It was built during the war. And the reason it was built is because it was so foggy here that they could land the airplanes. They had the pilots testing landing. And it's one of the first places where they lit fuel along the side of the runway to burn away the fog. Now, we don't get the fog we used to get. You can see it off the coast here. If you're coming here to use that runway, I guarantee you the fog is coming back. And I've lived here long enough that McKinleyville used to be a fog line. And the airplanes would stop. If you wanted to bring an airplane in, you had a chance at 12 o'clock. That was it. The other thing, you guys know airplanes, you know buildings, you know money, right? There's three of you. There's only three ways into McKinleyville. I recommend each one of you rent a car and drive out. Go east, go south, go north. If you go north, there's a last chance where the whole mountain is sliding into the ocean right before you go past the ocean. If you go to the east, there's a chance fire is going to close that road. If you go to the south, that road has been improved so much over time. It's actually almost a freeway. But this section of the woods, 100 miles from here, is just going to take your packages and bend them back and forth and back and forth. But that's not the worst of it. The worst of it is the earthquakes. We live at the Triple Junction. We live at the end of the San Andreas Fault. During the 1990s, we had an earthquake, and there was three of them, right? They just didn't go this way. They went this way. And my friends in Petrolia, he had all these TVs because he had a foster home, and he got sick of picking TVs off the ground. Imagine what it's going to do to your warehouse. And then we're not talking about the 1964 flood. In 1964 flood, we had a snowpack up in the mountains, and a warm rain came in and destroyed every bridge, everything along the Mobile River. That road you want to drive in and out was inaccessible at Christmas time. And that wasn't the first time. It happened in 1952. So historically, we've had huge floods here. We've had a huge amount of fog here. We've had roads that you're not going to be able to access most of the time. But we do have cheap land. And there's a reason for that. So you need to reevaluate what you actually want to build here and think about it, because it doesn't add up. We got one UPS truck that comes in from every day. If your package doesn't get on that UPS truck, you're not getting it till tomorrow. And we got UPS down in Eureka. They don't get that trucks. Your philosophy is to bring the trucks in and bring the trucks out full. The merchandise you're going to store there. I got to figure it out.
Thank you, everyone, for waiting so late. I just want to say that I've been here longer than that business tract was approved, and when that business tract was approved, I was here, and I was here before that, and that was approved, I thought, for our local economy. I thought we're going to be local businesses going in there, not major corporations taking out the money. The problem with corporate money is it doesn't stay in. And when we have an economy like ours, we rely on our local businesses to keep our money within. When that leaves, it's gone forever. And that's why we have such a shortage of more people. Because, I mean, the shortage of doctors and everything, more people. A lot of our residents are short-term residents. Everybody here is thinking about the long term, whether they're short term or not. They are thinking about the long term. And all those Amazon packages that come up here, the majority of them, I'm guessing, go to a lot of short term residents, like our students. Our students don't know better. They are from places where Amazon is a very familiar local thing to them. And it is not something that's going to help our economy flourish. When you talk about small businesses, you are not talking about local businesses. The local businesses will hurt. Those small businesses are our small businesses. We are not talking about your corporate small businesses. We are talking about ones that make money here, and they take that money and they spend it again here, and then that money turns around and is spent again here. So we want to keep our money local. If we are ordering through Amazon all the time, that is our fault. But I don't think the majority of the long-term residents are ordering from you. I'm sorry, but it is not the right environment for you to be wanted. It might be the right environment for you to make short-term money, but it is not a long-term plan that is going to sustain our local economy. We rely a lot on the college, and a lot of those local businesses rely a lot on the college. And as Amazon comes in and they offer that same day, next day thing, a lot of people are going to be tempted by that. And a lot of people don't even know better. They haven't been here for 20 years, 10 years, 50 years, fifth generation. And those people are going to leave again. So I ask all of you to talk to your neighbors, talk to people about the fact that when that money leaves, that affects what doctors we get here. That affects all of our infrastructure. And I would like to address the garbage waste. I realize that this is an end of the line. There's a lot less garbage waste with an end of the line Amazon place. But that's another thing our local economy has a problem with. We don't have where to put garbage. It gets hauled away, and we have gone through problems with our local garbage companies in being able to haul away what we already have. If you have packages coming in, shrinking down to smaller packages, that is a lot of waste that I'm not sure if we handle. It's something that you guys, all four of you, need to address and find out if you allow this to happen. And as far as local businesses goes, there's other businesses that we would like up here. There was a post in regards to bringing up MRI and X-ray technician training out in Samoa. That would be good for our economy. There's other businesses that we can bring into our economy that would support and help our economy flourish. And I hope all of you guys think about these questions, think about what was said, and address this. And I would like to say, please make an agenda and post it at the beginning of the meeting next time. And that way people know when they're going to be able to speak. Because a lot of people are rowdy because we wanted to be heard. We're here because we want to be heard. And I give my minute to someone else.
Hi, my name is James Zeller. I'd like to thank everyone for being here. Shout out to Steve Lazar for handling all our emails. I have a question actually to Steve really quick. In order for this to be on the public record, these need to be in writing, our statements, right? Is that correct? Sorry.
It's a lot easier when you do it that way. Unless we're having a public hearing, it doesn't always get tested.
So people that spoke tonight, I know a lot of you have left. If you want your statement to be on public record, you have to put it in writing and email it to Steve. I sure wish we'd said that earlier. It was really important that we get these things on public record. I'd like to thank you for being here, Stephen. Full compassion for you. None of my opinions are directed at you. Earlier you said that Amazon wanted to be a good neighbor. I'm sorry, but to me that's a little bit comedic because I think if a corporation wanted to be a good neighbor, they wouldn't be a corporation. It doesn't make sense. And I also think the question about Project Nimbus was a hard one to answer, and I understand why you remain silent on that. It's a really heavy question. Being a good neighbor, to me, has spiritual and religious implications because I hear be a good neighbor, treat your neighbor as yourself. Pretty heavy stuff. That's not what I want to talk about. I wanted to talk about a few of the economic pieces and local economics. I've been researching it a bit. Regarding job creation, a study by the American Economic Project found that in communities with Amazon warehouses, retail worker pay dropped by 2.4% after Amazon's arrival. Retail workers' pay fell up to 100 miles away from the warehouse. Local retail sectors lost jobs, and these losses were not offset by jobs added within the Amazon warehouse. In other words, it seems like the job creation that Amazon would bring would be a net zero, possibly, according to this study. Regarding quality of jobs, a study from the University of Illinois Chicago Center for Urban Economic Development found that 53% of Amazon warehouse workers experienced food insecurity. 48% of workers reported one or more forms of housing insecurity. It's big deals. University of Chicago, our University of Illinois Chicago Center for Urban and Economic Development is a pretty legit organization. I take this seriously. Local businesses are the backbone of local economy. Landmark study by Civic Economics found that money spent at local businesses recirculated the local economy at a much higher rate than money spent at corporate and big box stores. In fact, a recent study shows that for every $100 spent at a corporate chain business, only 13 circulates in the local economy. While for every $100 spent at locally owned businesses, $52 recirculates locally. In regards to Amazon's relationship with local businesses, the Institute for Local Self-Reliance reports that in the 2019 survey, 3/4 of independent retailers ranked Amazon's dominance as a major threat to their survival, and only 11% of those selling on the site described their experience as successful. Only 11%. Rather than asking, will Amazon help our economy, I'd ask, what kind of a business environment do we want here? If all we focus on is a temporary promise of temporary increases in the number of jobs and total wages, not a conclusion supported by independent research, and the temporary but slight increases in poverty, also not supported by studies, then we might miss a lot. The longer range outcomes are who gets hired to do what, and what happens to the existing business environment, infrastructure, and to the local culture at large. Local economies are struggling nationwide. I think we have a special local business culture in Humboldt County. And if we allow Amazon to open a warehouse, what kind of cultural change might that herald? Allowing Amazon a large warehouse would threaten our local economy. And once that damage is done, it may be too late for us to go back. I also want to echo what someone said earlier about this project expanding. It's hard for me to believe that it wouldn't expand. It's hard for me to believe that we wouldn't be using the airport. That makes no sense to me. And I want to say one more thing. We've been speaking about this as something that's already done. This project will be. I want to say, actually, this project will not be. What you see there is just a different reaction with the other differently will face. My view that Amazon will face. So I think it would be smart to go back to Amazon and tell them what you saw here, and then quit your job and move up here and become an activist. You know?
Yeah, agreed. My name's Mira. I'm from Arcata, but I am, in Humboldt, so I feel like I count. I would just like to say that we are a very poor economy, and I can understand how you guys would be driven to want to turn it over to Amazon to get some revenue. I feel like there's something more going on here that's deeper than what you're telling us on the service, because you know that your community doesn't want this. And on top of that, I would like to know how many customers exactly, or as close as you can get, how many customers are you serving in the area? Do you have an idea? Could we get that at some point? Because we need to learn how to divest enough that you guys won't come back.
We probably wouldn't share that information.
Okay. We'll take some amount of our population and we'll go do our own work, okay, guys? And then I also want to add that you can sugarcoat with like nice landscaping and solar panels, but we all know that this is still capitalism draining our resources. And this is the end of the world right now, and we don't need another thing to drain our resources. We need to invest into our community, and our locals know that, and you know that as well. And I think you all have morals and are good people down deep somewhere, but right now you are doing lip service for evil. And I have one quote to read that just happened to be in this notebook, and it says, "The executive of the modern state," some of these folks here, "is but a committee for managing the common affairs of the whole bourgeoisie."
Hi, my name is Ashley. Thank you guys for staying late. I know it's a long time after. Thank you all for still being here. We are new to the area. I gave my comment earlier to Steve via email, and we are up in Trinidad. My kids go to Trinidad school. Say hi, kids. They're all back here. We came from the McKinleyville Little League game that my 12-year-old was at. My oldest is going to McKinleyville next year. So we are not directly in this community, but we are involved. We move around. We're here. Oh, sorry. Awesome. Okay, so yes, we live in Trinidad, but we're in McKinleyville often. There's a lot of kids in McKinleyville that go to school in Trinidad. This is a special place. It's so special. I grew up in Houston. I moved to San Antonio for college. We came here on vacation and fell in love. The people, the community, not having Amazon here was nice. So I want my 4 kids to grow and stay here. I know one of the first comments said that they had neighbors and their kids were leaving. We've got kids coming in. I know other families that have moved into the area too, because they're moving from these very large cities and towns where there's so much infrastructure and kids cannot be kids anymore. They want to come here. They want their kids to play outside. They want them to ride their bikes to school, to walk to school, to enjoy the environment, to care about it. And that's why I'm here. I want my kids to care. They do care. I care. I hope that you all care. And, you know, most of y'all do because you're here. So thank you. And please submit those emails so it's on public record.
Hello, Sophia, I'm a resident homeowner, and I am here to support, or I'm not even sure I'm supporting, but I'm kind of on the fence after some of the testimony that I've heard here tonight. I'm a little perplexed about whether or not we should go forward, but I did take some notes and also wanted to welcome you, Stephen, to North Arcata.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
anyways, from what you said, there's a demand, and I think that if I'm looking at that, it's not going to be any more travel for the items to get here. We're already shipping in all our packages already. It's not going to change. We're just changing how quick we get them. And so I just wanted to mention that. I kind of love the idea that I will be able to get my stuff quicker. Sometimes I'm not able to do some planning, and it's nice to be able to have something not next week by Saturday. So there's that. And then also I was thinking about boycotting Amazon after some of the things that we said here today. It's just like, oh my goodness, it's like so terrible what they're doing to their workers and all this. And it's like, we're already boycotting Starbucks, we're boycotting Target. My husband's like, we probably aren't boycotting Amazon, that maybe we should consider that, but we're not there yet. So I do think we need jobs in this area, so you almost have me convinced that I needed to quit my job and apply for your position instead of having a call, because who would want benefits like that? And I think it is good. Some of the people are poo-pooing about me offering benefits, but I personally am happy that I have benefits. It's no struggle for me to get into the medical providers to get the needs that I have met. And so it's easy to say that it's not that it's no big deal, but I think it is a big deal that you're bringing jobs that would have benefits, and thank you for that. And also the part where you were saying that you offer some career educational assistance, I think that some people are also looking down their noses about that and kind of critiquing Amazon to those offerings or whatever, but not everybody in our community has the means to go to school on scholarships and grants, so having alternative ways to get themselves education and climb out of the poverty that is in this area would be grateful. Let's see. One thing I have about Amazon that I don't like when I'm looking for stuff is that I can't find stuff that's made in America, and I'm a patriot and I want to buy stuff that is from America. So I would wish that you could relay that to Amazon people, that they would make it easier for us to like toggle to like only American made products so that we can make better choices. And then as to the part about the location, I feel like it's principal permitted use there, and we can't be complaining about what it's gonna look like or whatever, because if you actually take the off-ramp to go to the airport, some of the things that you see are not ideal either. You know, I see like a ranch type deal situation, and it's not pretty either. So it's not like that big of an impact on me. And when I fly into Seattle and Portland and all those other places, I'm not looking in the area and saying, oh, I just want to stay right next to the airport. I'm flying into that location and then I'm dispersing into the community from there. So I don't think that's too big of a deal. And I just wanted to thank the county employees. I heard that there were some problems with Zoom, and I just wanted to let you know that I didn't see that. I can relate, but it's easy to be a critic of people. But anyways, thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Kansler. I am on the Central Labor Council. And I am a very strong union nurse, and we need them. But we need good union jobs. Amazon will treat their employees like crap. You may work, you may work for some things, but I know what employers are, and they want to make money, and make money off employees. So I know a lot of other people spoke about this. So I'm not going to go over it again. But you're not offering anything here. You're not offering good jobs. Excuse me, Ms. Contractor. I'd like to ask you, do you use union labor?
In terms of the project contracting, we do bid the job out, and union contractors and subcontractors are able to participate in the bid process, but it's not 100% union lots.
I didn't see it was, because usually people want to make money, and so they don't use good union labor.
Percentage. Give or take. 100%.
It is competitive bid process. There's not a specific percentage.
A previous project that you
higher than zero.
I don't have those numbers, but you know, I can gather that information and share it with.
Like I said, a lot of other people spoke about this, about the jobs. Also, said something about Humboldt County. The reason why I moved here, I belong to two socialist organizations, Humboldt USA, and I belong to Freedom Road Socialists. Remember what it means? Well, you've got DSA here, and you've got socialists here, and we are not going to let Amazon come into our community. And I can guarantee you, we'll come together on that. The last time I want to talk about is also on the Humboldt Anti-War Committee, and Amazon works with DHS, and they work with ICE, and military industrial complex. They have zero services. They also do work with Israel. They don't make money. They do, like my friend said about NIBIS, they also allow them to use their services, and they support Israel in their different technological work. So, and that sucks. It really does. I don't want Israel dictating to this country. I don't want Israel using their IDF to teach our cops how to torture people. All right? So I don't want Israel in this community at all. And I want to say another thing is that if you do try to get your little butts in here, we're going to make sure that your people are unionized.
Let's go.
So I work with Native youth, and I do not support this Amazon distribution AI center. It's just going to be extracting our resources, exploiting our people, and exploiting our youth. And we know that Jeff Bezos is in the same bed as Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street, and other billionaires that are destroying our world, and other resources in other countries, and we're doing, and they want to do that here too. So we're not going to let it happen, and they're not welcome here. So screw them.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Call. I live in McKinleyville, and I wasn't planning on speaking, but no one said anything about this until just recently, so I got in line. First though, I want to thank the county very much for having this meeting. It's been a very interesting, wide-ranging discussion, and it's kind of late. I wish I ate dinner before you did too. But I really appreciate it. It's been really educational and interesting, and also want to thank the county for adopting the lighting ordinance recently, because this is the exact type of development that we need to protect the night sky and the migrating birds from. And but I think you need to adopt it in the coastal zone. One more little box to check, right? But hopefully that'll happen before this project gets going. On April 20th, the first ordinance in California was adopted prohibiting data centers in Monterey Park near Los Angeles. And I would like to ask Humboldt County to consider that as well, because I've heard a lot of concerns from people that this, it's just a warehouse. I mean, it's just a giant warehouse. It could be used as a data center. And, we know that the zoning, the general plan of data, and the business plan, business park master plan doesn't consider data centers. And the one that went in Arcata, there was really no public hearing or any recourse, because I was allowed according to the zoning. So please consider that, and you may want to put a moratorium on data centers first, like they did at Monterey Park. But the thing I really want to emphasize, I don't know if the county can prohibit ICE facilities, but this was the first thing I thought of, because there's an airport here and there's a federal courthouse in the business park. And in Oregon, Newburgh, Oregon, ICE attempted to take over the Coast Guard facility at the airport to build a detention facility, because the state of Oregon doesn't have a detention facility. And, this is a sanctuary county, and we are in the target of the federal administration right now, because we're a sanctuary county, because of the university being under investigation for all kinds of things, for, being too woke and all this stuff. So we're already kind of a target, and we're a long ways away from any ICE detention facility. So I really, really strongly encourage the county to consider what we can do to prevent that. And then lastly, I do agree with most of what I've heard here about Amazon. I try not to buy anything on Amazon whenever possible, but it's a giant monopoly in a lot of cases. It sometimes can be hard. But, I know there's, not that much the county can do from the SEPA perspective, as far as the, what goes inside the building. But I strongly support most of what was said today about not wanting Amazon to be here. I don't want Amazon to exist. I canceled my Washington Post subscription when Bezos refused to endorse someone for president. It's moving money up to the top 8 people in this country. It's no good. So thank you again for coming tonight. Have a good one.
Hello, my name is Erin. I'm a Humboldt County resident. And I would like to know, is Amazon aware that there are 2 schools within, I would say, a half a mile of this site, the airport and the site? When I've been near there, like the gentleman said before, you really smell that jet fuel, and I wonder the combination of the jet fuel and all these trucks. I know it's been a big issue in California and probably other states. The schools complaining about trucks, and also the fumes, and the children and the people in the neighborhoods having a rough time with the fumes. And I'd like to make a correction. I believe it's a correction. Our supervisor came on the radio and said that this would be a tax revenue for McKinleyville, but unfortunately, it's my understanding that these distribution centers do not receive the taxes. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so that would be the one thing I would see that could benefit the bill, but that is not true, and it was a false statement that someone made by mistake out of ignorance, and I'd like to correct that. And I met a young man at a cafe, and he was from Seattle, and he lived in a nice neighborhood, and Amazon distribution center came in, and then another, and then another, and the homeless thing blew up like crazy, and he was like, I'm so glad to be out of there and be just sitting down here right now. I don't even want to live there anymore. And that was his experience. And yeah, you guys don't have a good track record, and we do care about people, and we do care about planet. And I think that responsible, things would be much better than people that are just taking over. And I also have a concern about people order from Amazon a lot, and then they go to things and they're like, oh, shoot, last minute present. Well, that last minute present might be coming from Amazon. Now they'll cut further into our local businesses who just, who are getting that last minute stuff that people didn't plan for, and buy ahead from Amazon. So, hey, that's another concern. There are many more, but those are some of the main things I wanted to bring up. And I'd like that to go on the record about the taxes, please. And the schools. And have we done any studies on the combination of jet fuel and diesel fuel in combination for captive children for hours and hours a day, and who are going to be exercising on these fields and play after school sports like this young woman was saying. Thank you so much, and thank you for coming, and please go away.
How's everybody? My name is James Anderson. I am a resident of Humboldt County. I'd like to start off by saying that I would like my statements to be on record here. First, a couple of quick questions, and then I have a comment. My first question is for Stephen about in regards to Amazon's plans to replace 75% of its employees with AI robots. You not being aware of that, is that ignorance, competence, or deception? I'll elaborate. Within 30 seconds, I found a New York Times article that confirmed that. So that's that one. You can answer if you'd like, or else move on to my next question.
You can go to your next question.
Okay, you don't have a comment on that. So I'll stick with deception. Okay, and then so the numbers for the projected jobs are kind of fluctuating a little bit. I think you said it's around, in total, in peak season, it's what, 200 and something? Full-time employees. In peak season?
No, I did not say that. I didn't talk.
I'm just looking for a number here as a place mark. So you said it was.
I can't predict what the numbers will be in peak season, but it's a small increase. It's not. The number of full-time employees right now is about 115.
Okay, so I'll take that number as a reference here. So in 2033, what percent of that 115 employees plan on having replaced by automated AI workers? It's a very simple question.
I don't have an answer to that. I can't predict.
Do you not have one, or you're refusing to answer?
I don't have an answer.
Okay, you're refusing to answer. Okay. Now, this last one is just a comment here. Considering Amazon's major partnership with Palantir for its AI services, I think it's very important to note that these companies are using and developing AI automated kill chain technology being developed and implemented in Palestine and also Ukraine. I'll figure that. I think it is very relevant to question Amazon's integrity when choosing to partner with a company whose majority of its spending and resources go to automated military purposes and making human labor obsolete. And also just another thing here too. In Lex Dexter's congressional deposition earlier this year, he said that Epstein worked for many prominent people, including Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos. Something to be recorded on public record. Yeah. I'm here first from Control Union. I'm anti-AI. And thank you guys for showing up, and thank you for listening to us. And I hope you actually listen, because we're not going to allow this here.
Hi, my name is Brian. Not normal thing I do, but I'm here to
speak my piece, try to get through it here. Well, first I want to say thank you, Stephen, John, Sonia, and Stephen, and the other staff that's here tonight. It's been a long night, I realize that. Jen Call said it already. I wish that I had some dinner myself before I came in here, and I hope that you guys had the foresight to do that. I appreciate you guys for continuing this meeting amid the passionate and engaged crowd. And also I appreciate the crowd for being here as well. I realize it's not easy to sit up there and take all this info or, whatever you would call it, questions. Many of what I'd like to say has already been said. I am a local resident who lives in, I believe it's called the Airport Impact Zone. And I am concerned, as others have stated, about increased air traffic, airport traffic, and plane size as well. The noise from planes being larger has increased recently. And in addition to that, I'm also concerned about the potential use of the airport and the cumulative impacts of airport use, including increased roadway traffic. So we have the impact of people coming on and off the planes. It's been said it's not going to happen, but the potential of Amazon goods coming into the planes, in addition to just the trucks on the airport road itself.
Yeah, just so we can be clear, we have no plans of using the airport to deliver packages.
Is that something that could be written in the EIR, or is that something that would be stated like, no, this won't ever be a thing, or if production ramps up, it can become a thing? Like you say, now it's not in the plan, but is that something that could be stated or like held to account for that? Is there anything I'm asking? You know what I'm saying?
We'll get some thought with that and figure out. We can talk and figure out that.
Like it's a statement that's been made multiple times, so that is going to.
Yeah, but we have no plans, not even remotely considered using the airport.
Mm-hmm. If that could be factored in, that would be great. Where am I at here? I also live near the highway, like really close to the highway, and the noise has increased also along the highway since I've lived here. And I'm particularly concerned with increases in road noise, as well as tire wear particles that somebody else mentioned that have been proven to kill salmon, coho salmon in particular, which I'm not sure if they're in Widow White Creek here or not, but I would imagine they are, and the increased traffic there. And I know it could say that it's offset because these packages are already moving through the area, but the addition of those large trucks.
Can I add something? So I think we talked about before that there's going to be a notice of preparation scoping meeting when you can actually make comments on what you want in the EIR.
Okay.
And the particulate matter that comes from the tires, those kind of things.
Yeah.
Particularly if you're concerned about their impact on wildlife, you should mention that as part of the EIR scoping meeting so that the environmental consultant, the EIR consultant could add that to the list of things that they study.
And
that's the appropriate way to deal with that.
Okay. And that's in August?
No, that's
mid-May.
Mid-May, so fairly soon. Okay.
And there'll be public notice for that, but that's where you want to kind of make your comments, add comments that will go on public record about the scope of the EIR, just so that it covers those topics that you think that you feel are important.
Thank you. So if I did send in my comments via email, I have it kind of typed up here to help me out. Would that mean it wouldn't be included in the EIR unless I sent it in the May scoping? Is that?
It would be best to send it on a second and notice of preparation.
Yes.
Notice goes out.
Okay. Thank you for that. Well, I have it here, so I'm going to keep going, that I'm also concerned about stormwater runoff in the coastal zone, in addition to warming from just the added paving. With that, my main concern is our overstretched fire department, which I believe we recently, not that long ago, had a vote and a measure to give them additional funding out of the taxpayer funds. And their ability to respond to all of the large warehouse that McKinleyville or Arcata Fire Department doesn't even deal with now. We had a large fire in Arcata recently. And I also want to say sometimes I get last minute presents via Amazon with the typed out little notes. And I wonder if 150 years from now, if anybody will look back at those little brown boxes and those tiny notes fondly. Thank you.
I recognize that it's past 9 p.m. and I appreciate the fact that you're all sitting here still. I will try to not repeat anything or to be disrespectful or engage in ad hominem attacks. And it always concerns me when my community does that to speakers. and I'm sorry. I'm an ethnoecologist. I work for tribes, local governments, community-based organizations. I'm also a writer for publications like PBS and Slate. I happen to live adjacent to the business park where this development is planned, and I walk my dog daily through the fields. So I'm quite familiar, both physically and ecologically, with the remnant coastal prairie where this last mile delivery station is planned. And I understand the constraints of the Coastal Commission. I understand compliance issues. I simply do want to note that our coastal prairie is critically endangered throughout its historic range in California, especially in California's marine terraces. So we are dealing with a very highly critically endangered ecosystem, given all the other factors. Also, just logistically, and I think it would be relevant for Steve Lazar and Stephen Maduli and also Sonia to not put in your slide presentations that this is like an 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 issue, because I am intimately familiar with Amazon last mile delivery stations like came from the Bay Area. And what happens with these last mile delivery stations, especially with flex drivers, is trucks get delayed, things happen. The local staff on shift doesn't get all the packages sorted in time. So you do have drivers leaving at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m. at night. And that's just realistic. And I think it's important that that be conveyed to the public and that the public understands that that can happen. I also didn't see any information about planning for traffic jams and blockages, because when those flex drivers come in for their shift, especially if there's a lot of deliveries, and if there's any delays in the station, there's this long backup that can go. I've seen them up to, I would say, 0.3 to 0.5 miles from that station. And that can impact Airport Boulevard. It can impact the 101 exit exchange, and it can potentially be a very significant traffic issue. And I didn't see any attention given to that. Also, there appears to be a juggle, as you can see, public confusion between a last mile delivery station, a warehouse, and a data center. And I'm active in a lot of Facebook groups, and there was not a clear distinction made in any of the public announcements about this meeting. And I know that our planning department is understaffed and overworked. And it would be good to hire someone who is good at information dissemination and public outreach to get more information out. And then finally, Mr. Ford, given the contentious nature of this subject and the fact that highly vocal activism is celebrated in this county, it might be appropriate to hire a professional facilitator for meetings going forward. I think that would help you and help everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that that's a super sensitive climate. It's like right at the mouth of Ottawa, which is the name of that river, and a lot of people still use it as a refuge for breeding seasons, and so I think that the environmental impact report should not only include like outside, that like people who aren't from the county, but indigenous people. I wonder, there's been like outreach to the tribe, and it's so, why it's not like that voice present here. And then for, the developer, I had a question about how many parking spots that there are and why there's a need for an underground parking facility in the building if there's only going to be 112 full-time employees there. And why it needs to be on a split location if there's no plans of expansion.
There's not underground parking. There's a separate parking lot for the delivery vans, which would also allow for some of the delivery van drivers to park their personal vehicles there when they're taking the vans over to be loaded. I would have to confirm the current parking count because we have adjusted the site plan slightly since what was presented in the phase one that was shown around. So we can get updated parking numbers to everyone post meeting. But there is no underground parking. It's all green level.
Like that was said earlier. I was confused there. That was stated earlier by somebody, and then now you're saying it's not. So no, it's just never been stated.
I think they would bring inclusive underground services for the
Oh, the underground that I referenced is the underground infrastructure for EV wiring for future EV charging systems. It's not actual underground parking, so maybe that's where the confusion comes from, is we're putting the wiring under the parking lot to enable us to expand to EV charging for electric vans in the future.
So there is plans for expansion in the future?
There would be electric vans in the existing parking lot. It would not be expanding the parking lot itself. It would just be adding EV chargers to the parking lot that's already built.
Okay, and yeah, I just want the record to state that the majority of public comment here overwhelmingly, besides from two maybes, was in denial of this project moving forward and money on not for you to have a presence here. So people keep on alluding that there's this need, there's this demand, but being coerced into buying things online because you put all the mom and pops out is not choice, that's coercion. So I don't think that the demand is fair. I think that people are like in extreme poverty and have to make like choices of convenience. But I like if you can still say that with like your chest that this is like wanted here, then I think that you really need to like reconsider your critical thinking skills because overwhelmingly there's not a demand or a want for the presence of here.
I'm not here to convince you to not be here because you've already made your decision by coming here and you're sitting here taking your money and you're glancing over and you're ready for all of us to be going home. I'm here just to talk to my fellow Humboldt folks, my family, my friends, and even the critters that can probably hear me because this is loud and this is fun. Protect this place and know that all of the questions that are being answered right now, they are lies, they will expand, they'll keep coming back and trying to come back. They're not going to give up because they have enough money to kill people across seas, they have enough money to kill us. So what I'm saying is I'm here to convince everyone in Humboldt that maybe it was a no, or maybe it was a maybe, and not a, yeah, get the fuck out. Protect Humboldt. Remember, it's Earth first, it's humans first, it's friends first, it's critters first, it's family first. It's not about Amazon. You're a distribution center, you say you have nothing to do with the airport. Where are you going to get your resources? How are you going to fill your pretty warehouse? Are you not going to go sell to Reading or to anywhere else? Is anyone, like, that doesn't make any sense. Need I remind everyone as well that Trump wants to deforest our home and wants to expand our highways even more with that deforestation? How are the Amazon trucks going to come in and out, in and out, in and out?
They're using our roads, they're using our money, lack thereof, because we're not protecting Humboldt, we're not protecting the local businesses. I just want to be that parent of anything that you're saying, if you're teetering or if you're trying to figure out maybe this is a good idea, or hey, if you can't wait 7 days for a package, kind of think about why you're buying a package in the first place and why you can't buy it somewhere downtown or in the plaza. Anything. I'm just very frustrated, but I'm also very happy to hear that folks showed up and everyone is talking and sharing knows that we don't want you here. I don't want you here. I hope, actually, no, I'll say this. You will not come back. You entered without permission. You didn't get to know anyone. You heard a land acknowledgement, but you don't know the Leon people. You don't know anyone of the Leon people. You haven't even heard stories. You don't care about the land. You don't care about what has come out of that land. You just want to use it and abuse it. And everything around here is just going to look like a silver box. I come from a city where now when I visit for Christmas, there's 6 steel boxes on the way to my family's house. And then there's a small little house that I was born and raised in. And when I leave that house, again, there's 6 other steel boxes. When I used to see coyotes in the desert, when I used to see birds in the creosote, you guys have ruined that, and I don't want you to ruin Humboldt. I will not let you ruin Humboldt. We won't let you ruin Humboldt. So go away, don't come back. And when you're sleeping at night, thinking about us, think about how loud we're going to be, and you will never shut us up. The minute that we walked in and you guys called the sheriff on us, we will not give up. We will not shut up. So be loud, be mad. Don't say sorry for making them sit here. They paid for this. They chose this job, so sit in it. You got the power, deal with it. We're not happy. Good night.
Hi. I feel kind of weird or awkward saying this now because my plan was to say thank you guys for being here. I just wanted to thank you guys for being here. I understand that it's probably not fun getting yelled at by hundreds of people all day, and while I may not agree with all of your ideas and perspectives, I do appreciate that you're here willing to listen to us, so thank you for being here. I've been a Humboldt resident for about 10 years now. I'm a student at Cal Poly Humboldt. I live in Newville, so I feel like I have a vested interest in what happens here. I live with 4 small children, and I guess what I am hoping for is just to invite everyone, and especially you guys sitting up there, to imagine communities that have an Amazon, established in their community. And think about all the places that we know of that already have Amazon there. I grew up in the Midwest. There's tons of Amazon warehouses where there once were cornfields, and change happens. That's just how it goes. But I really want everyone to think, what does that community look like? The community that has that Amazon warehouse, that distribution center. Those communities usually brought Amazon in because they needed the revenue, and those communities were dying. I don't think that with the Amazon buildings there, the community is still dying. I just would want us to think and imagine, is the community with the Amazon distribution center a thriving community? Is it a walkable, livable community with jobs and supporting local businesses, and people have a better quality of life with Amazon in their backyard? And the research has shown us that that's just not true. That's not what happens when Amazon comes in. And I think that I understand that the need for jobs here is really great, and that's probably the biggest draw to it. And I hear that you guys say the land has already been it's zoned for that use, but clearly that's not dated. And I would invite you guys as planners, as county employees to maybe consider in the future having a smaller community meeting before and kind of seeing what what would work for the community. And I actually know a really amazing facilitator, someone that's invested in the facilitation, Lou Madison. I can send you her contact information. She's really great, and you might already have heard of her. But she works with this exact thing, engaging communities so that this contention is limited and so that you guys can see what really works for us. And so I just want everyone, I just am inviting you guys, and especially you guys, to really just sit and imagine of what our community could look like. And if this is really the route that we want to take, just because we can doesn't necessarily mean that we should. And I think that we have an opportunity to engage the community in more productive ways that really works for us. And yeah, that's what I mean. Also, I have a suggestion. I understand that with the EIR there are no analysis for socioeconomic impacts. Something that I would consider if you guys are really want to push this project forward. If you think that there are no negative socioeconomic impacts or that there are positive ones, please do an analysis of some sort on the socioeconomic impacts, because there will be some, and if you think that it's really important for you guys to understand what those would be, and then for the public to be able to see what those would be as well. So thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. I did not plan on speaking today. I'm Noah, I'm from Arcata, and I'm not a very social person, but it weighed on my emotions to not come here today. There is not only zero, but an enormous negative ethical value in working for this organization. It has ties with so many activities that harm generations of livelihoods. And not to mention, profiting off of war. And for what? People, there are customers. There are people who rely on Amazon. There are partners. There are even employees who might benefit from working for Amazon. But that isn't really worth trading any moral ethical value you might have. Is convenience worth it? I'm personally not going to allow convenience to dictate my morals. Thank you.
Hi, my name is George Martinez. I'm a Kinleyville resident. I've been to a few of the McMack meetings, and I was at the Morris Elementary School meeting the other day talking about consolidation of certain services. I'm probably going to say a number of things that people aren't going to like, but the reality is that Humboldt County is economically in decline. We went from 61,000 in household income to 58. It's a reduction. We have people leaving the county. Now, the reason for that is we don't have enough jobs, but you can counter that by having appropriate jobs. And it's true, maybe Amazon's not the way, but we have lost the Nordic Aqua Farm $650 million. You've on hiatus the Humboldt Bay Offshore Wind Heavy Marine Terminal Project, which was projected to bring in roughly $1 billion to the local community, with a federal investment of almost $500 million. That's generational money. It's hard for young families like myself. Well, we came here to Humboldt. I've traveled all across the country, Northeast. I've lived in Florida, Mississippi, South California. I've lived in big cities, Boston, San Diego. In small towns, Ocean Springs, Biloxi, those places they were once struggling, and they found a way to thrive. Now, whether that was because they brought in a lot of corporate entities, it's hard to say. Probably that's the truth, but if we don't find a solution for what I feel is an endemic problem for the county, and it's a bleeding wound, then our elders are going to suffer because we have a rising age demographic. It's roughly 23% right now. It's just getting higher. And we need services for them to find ways to van services to find appropriate travel to transportation to the hospital, either in Joe's or Mad River or out of state, Oregon, Reading, whatnot. It's hard. It's difficult. And those funds they're not here. People aren't bringing those jobs here at the moment. 5,900 units of what we need to be built in Humboldt County for affordable housing and moderate housing. People that are coming to live here, we are at a drastic shortfall of homes. Okay, students there, they're living out of their cars. I know that there are local small businesses here that are also struggling. They're asking for GoFundMe donations and angel investors. That means that those communities, those local companies that need 80% of our money, they survive on 80% of the consumer, local consumer. They can't find, nobody's going in. I went to go eat at a local restaurant today. My wife and I, only people in there. I don't understand. It should be like the busiest time of the day. So I apologize, a bit emotional, but this is a choice for people like myself. I just had a son and we're deciding whether to stay in Humboldt County. Okay, so thank you for your time.
Good job.
I'm here for a personal reason, because I might recognize some people. I work for a tribal land trust, so I go to meetings like this sometimes. My name is Jack. I live in Louisville, and I'm making it real quick, but I just want to say that I'm against Amazon just in my community in general. I don't shop at Amazon. My family is well aware they're not allowed to buy me anything from Amazon. So yeah, I just want to mention that. I'm not going to ask any questions, but I am curious about what the emergency response might be like at Amazon. I can only imagine what happens if there's a fire there. I honestly think about what happens if I need an ambulance to my house and I live in McKinleyville. And I'm where are they how long is it gonna take? Are they gonna take me to St. Joe's? Are they gonna take me to Mad River and then have to take me to St. Joe's? So yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Hi there, my name's Dave Couch, and I was over at the business park this morning for 30 minutes because my wife had a dermatological appointment, and so I walked around and scoped it out, and I was concerned about the parking lot arrangement as proposed, so that you have the facility at the north end of the business park, and then you have the parking for the vans at the south end of the business park. And you leave the big vacant space in the middle of the business park. So I would ask that you move the southern van parking into that vacant space in the middle of the lot and put it adjacent to the Amazon facility. And there's several reasons for that. That reduces mileage spent within the area. And then the southern boundary of the south area has a residential area along it. So I think you want to try to protect that residential area from having van traffic coming and going past it at all hours. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for being here and staying late. Thanks. These are always fun. I'm on the board of the Kennesaw Community Services District for a long time. I'm a vice president of the Association of California Water Agencies for 17 years. So I've done a lot of this, and this facility belongs to the services district, and we're very happy to make it available for community meetings, and happy to be participating in it. One of the things that's really hard for me to deal with is rude behavior. I don't care if you agree or disagree. and pounding on our walls is not okay. But as we move forward on this, I would like to ask people to just kind of consider that, be more respectful. John, I know John Ford very well. Him and I don't agree on everything, but I can tell you that this is a honest, well thought out, dedicated public servant. I want to thank you, John, for your participation. But I do have a question, I'm a bit rambling. I'm wondering if you have entertained, and if I missed it, I apologize, the concept of community benefit agreements that provide great benefit to the community, you know, like to our services district or our fire department or lighting or things like that. So that's my question. Thank you.
So that has been discussed, and it is something that we have not presented to Amazon yet. Part of the struggle is that this is principally permitted use. And so normally a community benefit agreement would be something that is so big that it puts an inordinate burden upon the community. I know, based on the comments made tonight, that there's the perception that this is going to have an inordinate impact on the community. But we have not gone there yet.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, John, but aren't they generally voluntary from the applicant?
Yes.
Okay, so we could broach that, and I think we should as the process moves on.
I think you just did.
Yes, thanks.
I just have one more follow-up question here. I also wanted to say, like, personally, like, I did not mean my first question to you disrespectfully. It's like a very serious question. But yeah, so circling back to the travel organ thing, just because you touched on it, but never given any specifics. How long did it take for your trained emergency professionals to get to that employee that was laying on the floor? I've been hearing a lot about this in the news, and this is my only time to actually address it with somebody from Amazon. How long did it take for them to get to that person that was laying on the floor?
I am done taking trivial questions.
That's a very serious question. A dead person was laying on the floor in your factory. That's not a trivial question. It's serious. So I know it's getting late, but I think that Steven said that he's not going to talk about that anymore. He's not going to talk about the dead person that lay on the floor and how long it took for them to service. Okay.
My name is Jim Fields. I'm a lifelong resident of Humboldt County. I'd like to thank you all for being here. I'd like to thank Amazon for your interest in our community. Our county is $12 million in the red. We need these jobs. We want these jobs. And I just wanted to let you know we have a lot of support here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it looks like y'all are getting lucky because I may be the last person commenting. Okay, so I actually, that was Dennis Mayo, right, who brought up community benefits?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. He beat me to the punch because community benefit agreements can help offset, right? And good neighbors, even if you're not required by law to do so, can definitely discuss that. So I'm particularly interested in some of the softer infrastructure. So in addition to the impact on our resources, there's impact on childcare. There's impact on just about everything you can think of, and how, I'd like to hear more of the plan with that. The other thing is that no matter what is said by a corporation, at the end of the day, good local ordinances are what make good neighbors, and it's what holds things accountable. And EIR will only give you transparency and a certain amount of accountability, but ordinances need to be discussed at the Board of Supervisors level that say there's particular uses that's a permitted use, and do we need to look at those ordinances and think ahead to the future? Right now, we're a little bit behind the curve because things change so quickly. It's a way of doing business, and it's a way of doing government, and that actually belongs not just to be brought up in a community meeting, but also to be brought up with the Board of Supervisors, the people who represent your districts, the people who actually represent you. Ask those questions. John, I'm a fan of ordinances. I talk to you all the time about that. And they need to be well written, and people need to understand what's in them, right? Because that's what guides, ultimately, at the end of the day, how business gets done. The other thing I just want to also second in a slightly different way what Dennis Mayo was saying is that I was really concerned when I first got here. I came straight from the airport. The room was really full. There was an altercation towards the back of the room. There were a lot of people who were my mom's age and my dad's age out there who were packed really tightly who couldn't get out of the way. I don't think calling law enforcement is always the answer, but I would like to say, can we figure out a way to not put people at risk of getting shoved or stepped on or hurt? So thank you.
Well, at this point, let's just quickly.
Yes, very quickly.
I just wanted to mention that EIRs do allow for buying carbon offsets, which many corporations choose to do. That will not impact our community.
So thank you all for staying the duration. I think we've received a lot of comment, received a lot of feeling that goes into it. So that is appreciated. And the next step in this, you will be receiving probably a notice from us. If you haven't signed up, please make sure you do so that we can email you the notice of preparation when that's ready to come out. So with that, I'm going to close this meeting, say have a good evening, and thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you.